try to move this.
There we go. Good morning.
Come on. Come on. And I'm not going to be obsessed on getting absolutely everything on the board as it happens like other years, because that just gets crazy.
What do you mean about time? My goodness, I'm sorry. I had to drive my kids places this morning.
She dropped off the kids an hour before they have to be somewhere today for the live stream. I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting whatever illness I've had. It's kind of morphed, so that's fun. I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm here.
Yeah,
we'll do our best.
Shannon's never sick, and he's been sick.
Yeah, my body's hanging on to this one.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Isn't this a fun jersey? I really like this one too. I like this one a lot. Okay. Shannon was just excited for a long live stream. He's not. He does not feel well at all. So he was not excited for this at all. Shannon does not feel well. Captain, my captain. Good morning. Hope you're excited for the day. Thoughts on Thomas extension for the Blues?
I haven't seen it yet. All the reaction stuff, all that stuff, I will save that for videos after the free agent frenzy part's done. Because it tends to get crazy. And I remember the last year's, I was just talking and then something else, and then be something else, and it gets crazy. And with the number of names in this year's free agency class, it's going to be insane.
Devils legend, an absolute stud, Pavel Zacha is gone. Whatever do they do now?
I think it was a move that they've been looking to make for a while. I know the Canucks had been interested in Zacha. It took Howla to get him, so I like the move for both teams. I think he needed to move on. I think for Boston, paying the price of Howla for Zacha, who may very well help them down the middle, it will see how it works out for Boston overall.
So Isles miss out on JG. Who should they pivot to? Trocheck, Tarasenko?
Tarasenko, you're giving up assets. Trocheck, you're not. So Trocheck would be your first call, and then if you don't get him, then you can call St. Louis. And we already know where some of the players are going.
What team is the biggest player in FA today?
I'm wearing Carolina because I think Carolina is going to be busy. Ottawa's picking up Giroux. There's rumors of Ottawa maybe picking up others as well. Ottawa could be a big player. Honestly, any team that has like a ton of cap space, and if Calgary's losing Gaudreau and he's not coming back, they have money. They have money they can spend elsewhere. Not a ton because they still have to re-sign Mangiapane and they still have Tkachuk to worry about, but they have some money to sign somebody.
Do the Ducks do anything notable or stay quiet again this year?
Looking at what Pat Verbeek did at the draft and what he's done since the season ended, I don't expect the Ducks to be adding anybody major.
I see questions just about every team.
Yeah.
People want to know what each team is going to do.
Your team is going to pick up the greatest player and win the Stanley Cup this year. You're welcome. Your team will win the Stanley Cup. What? What is your problem?
Who's a typical Philly fan?
There you go.
What are the Rangers doing? THG?
They're going to be active looking for a second line center. So Kadri has been rumored to be headed there. We'll see.
Do you see Seattle being active? Do you see them being in on Johnny Hockey?
Gaudreau's rumored to be going to the East Coast. So that would rule out a Seattle move.
Hope you're all well. Do the Kings make any splashes today?
They have the room that they could. You have to balance the fact that you have some room with not wanting to put yourself into some kind of a cap situation a few years down the road when your young kids need to get their raises.
Thoughts on what Dallas does? Burns for sure to Carolina. Any chance for bridge deals for Ottinger Robertson?
Ottinger, it's possible. Robertson, I think you have to give him a long-term deal. They have to give him a long-term deal. Has to be 8 years.
The Kings absolutely should go back to this logo. Yes. Or the I like the crest a lot.
The coat of arms.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Greetings from Salt Lake City. Love your conversational, relaxed style.
Thank you.
Two of you are so cute together. My wife and I are inspired by you.
My wife and I are inspired by us too. Well, we are.
Okay. My allergies are just atrocious and my eyes are watering.
So her allergies are acting horrible. Up. I had maybe 2 hours of sleep. Let's do this.
I woke up early sneezing and trying to not wake up Shannon because he was finally asleep. Fun stuff. Okay. Would the Isles need to throw in a sweetener to dump Bailey's contract?
I would think so. Really, GMs right now aren't going to want to help somebody out for no reason. I think that we're going to see some expensive asks when it comes to taking on a contract.
Ducks Cup champs in 2023 confirmed. THG told me.
Yep. Your team just won. Yeah. They just won.
Hello from Michigan. Always great to see you guys working together. Who do you think is a good fit for Detroit?
Andrew Kopp's going there. Word has it it's between 5.35 and 6 million a year. I love Kopp. He's an absolutely fantastic forward. I think Detroit's done a good job adding Husso. Honestly, Detroit's in good shape. They may add a couple more guys today. I don't think it'll be anybody major, but Detroit's on their way.
What do you think the Penguins do? Do they go big?
I don't think they can. I know they saved some money with Malkin and Letang off what they were paying him last year, but I think with what they gave Raquel as well, I don't think they have a ton of space right now.
What does Tampa Bay do with Palat and Killorn?
Palat's hitting the market. So Palat's hitting the market. That might mean you keep Killorn. They wanted to keep Palat. Maybe now they just keep Killorn.
Between New Jersey Devils and New York Islanders, who do you think will land Johnny Hockey?
See, I think it's going to be the Rangers. I get the feeling it'll end up being the Rangers. But if it's between those two, I would say New Jersey.
Will the Kings do anything? Trade Byfield?
Oh, Byfield's not getting traded. He's still a top prospect. He's not going anywhere. Not yet.
Will Klingberg get a huge deal from a bad team?
He wants 8 years. He won't get 8 years on the free agent market. It'll be 7 years. I think that he'll probably get the 7 years. It's not going to be a great team. Great teams aren't looking to add a top 4 defenseman at a maximum contract usually. With Carolina picking up Brent Burns, I think that'll cool them on Klingberg. So it probably won't be a playoff team that picks up Klingberg. That's as far as I go with it.
What will St. Louis do with Perron and Tarasenko?
I think they'd prefer to move Tarasenko's contract that final year and keep Perron. I'd be very surprised if Perron doesn't end up back with St. Louis.
Blue Jackets predictions, I think they won't do much.
I don't expect the Blue Jackets to be very active.
Hello from Anaheim. Could the Sharks do anything?
The Sharks moved. The rumor is that Burns is going to Carolina, so that's creating space. They absolutely could be in the market for somebody at this point now that they've moved that contract.
I like this jersey too. Thanks. I've heard Kopp to Detroit, but I've also heard a lot of buzz about Klingberg to Detroit, but that doesn't seem like an Yzerman type player.
Klingberg's a good offensive defenseman. There are some defensive miscues that take place with his game. Honestly, if anybody can fix it, it'd be Yzerman. I would not mistrust Yzerman because if you have Klingberg with the right defensive mate, he's fine.
Go Avs. Morning from Chicago. Nervous laughter. What do you think the Hawks do today?
Sell everybody. By the end of the day, it's just basically you're bringing up Rockport. I have no idea how much Chicago wants to burn it to the ground, but Scotty Bowman walking away is definitely an omen that everything's getting burnt to the ground. The the DeBrincat trade. Basically, if anybody's under contract, they might get moved. Maybe they pick up bad contracts.
What will Barzal's next contract look like?
He's going to get paid. Barzal is a very skilled forward, very solid player. I think he's underrated by some. I think his scoring is lower in New York than it would be elsewhere. I think he's a very good offensive player.
Do my Leafs get anything?
The Leafs will be in on players. I don't think they'll be as successful as the media often will tell you right as you hit free agency. Everybody's going to Toronto right up until the eve of free agency.
Think the Kraken will make a splash? If so, who?
Seattle might be in on a top defenseman. I could see Seattle trying to fix some of their blue line issues. I could see them being in on a goaltender with Krieger being out for as long as he's going to be out. But there's no key goaltenders that aren't already spoken for. So maybe Martin Jones.
Do you agree it's a hot girl summer for Dorian?
Sure.
Okay.
He's definitely the hottest of the GMs right now. Seeing all three Strome brothers are free agents.
Oh my goodness. It's skipping.
Yeah.
There's getting to be a lot.
Yeah, because we're up to 3,400 now.
Will Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan be fired? Will they be fired if Matt Murray does not work out?
Yes.
There we go.
If Murray staggers and if the Leafs don't make that next step, I think that Dubas's job would be on the line. I don't think it'd be Shanahan, not yet. I think Dubas would go though.
Does Pittsburgh make a trade for their blue line?
They could. It might. There's teams that are going to go the trade route instead of free agent route, and sometimes the trade route makes more sense. Pittsburgh clearly hasn't given up on winning another Stanley Cup, so yeah, we'll see.
Are my Preds going to be quiet today?
I think re-signing Forsberg was the big thing, and I think making sure they keep that core together is big, which they've done. So yeah, they may very well be quiet.
This chat thinks the whole league is going to Detroit. I did notice that. Who should Dallas add?
Losing Klingberg, they're probably going to be in the market for a defenseman. They'll probably make some calls. I would not be surprised if Jeff Petrie ends up being that. No, Petrie. I'll just leave it as Petrie because Dan was his dad. All right. Yeah, Petrie from Montreal.
Matthew Tkachuk is going to Ottawa. Johnny Gaudreau is going to Islanders, Devils, Boston. What pick you like? Gustafson, what do you think about that trade?
The Gustafson deal was good. Matthew Tkachuk, I think if he leaves Calgary, I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't somehow end up in St. Louis. So it's been a tie together between Tkachuk and likely ending up in St. Louis. Anytime people talk about it, this might be where we end up seeing it.
Does Pittsburgh make any other moves? Also, do you think that Pittsburgh is making the wrong moves by bringing Malcolm back and not getting younger?
I think that for Pittsburgh, they want to keep it together. I think that Sidney Crosby wants to keep it together. And Sid the Kid, basically, it's been clear that if Sid's still there, they're not going into a rebuild. So they do look like Detroit 10 years ago, but what are you going to do? Malkin's one of the best players of his generation.
How does Burns' trade affect the market for Petrie?
Well, it means that there's going to be one fewer team calling about Petrie, but it also means that teams now can't be trying to get either one or the other. Now you only have one left. So it should help the market for Montreal. It should help their return.
Do you think Oscar Lindblom will land another NHL job?
He will. I don't think that he's going to end up with a huge contract, but he will.
Campbell to Oilers, 5 years, $5 million AAV.
Yep. Got that right on the TV. I'm not putting the AAV on the board this time because there's been times where it gets reported and then it's different, and then people in the chat will try to correct me on the board. So I'm just putting the name. That's it.
Now that the Wild have a little money to spend, do you think Guerin will make some moves?
I think Bill Guerin is still trying to dig his way out from the buyouts. I think that it's going to be difficult to do so. I don't know that adding money makes a lot of sense for Minnesota right now, but we'll see.
Heard Vegas is looking to move Max Pacioretty.
Yeah, I saw that too. I don't know how I would feel about that if I was a Vegas fan, because he was one of the shiny objects they picked up, and now they'd be moving him out, likely to try to pick up another shiny object. I just, yeah, Claude Giroux is off to Ottawa.
Keep up the great work, ethic, and great content, THG. Been watching you for a while. Love your videos. Who do you think the Habs will get today via trade, UFA?
I don't know. I don't know that they need to do a lot. I think for Montreal, I think it's going to be a gradual build. I don't think they'll be really, really busy today. If anything, they may try to move Petrie, and that might be it. Oh, why is Pierre? Oh,
Samsonov just signed with the Leafs. Yep, that for sure is my Vegas Golden Knights.
it's the only way to put it is they have a shiny object, and they you know, and then there's a shinier object. It's just it's so frustrating.
Somebody's saying I missed a super chat, but I cannot see it. I don't see it. I'm sorry. Somebody can message me. Where did I put my phone? Did I bring my phone in here? I did. Somebody can message me on Discord if I miss a super chat. There's a lot of them, and it makes it really hard for me to scroll back to find them when there's this many people. So, yeah, people can message me on Discord if I miss them.
TSN still doesn't have those signings yet, but if I go over to Sportsnet, I have to listen to Pierre.
Ottawa chose violence this offseason. Hey, THG, love your videos. Do you think the Avs get a center to replace Kadri?
They're going to have to. When Kadri's out, I mean, you can have other guys chip in and do well and all that fun stuff. They would definitely need to replace him. The good news is if you don't spend that money on Kadri, you have the money to spend elsewhere. So losing Burakovsky hurts them too if he doesn't end up coming back. So Colorado's got some work to do, but as Tampa Bay's shown us, if you're a champion, there's going to be players that are interested in playing for your team.
Will Kessel go to Tampa?
I don't know if Tampa's a great fit for Kessel, but I mean, Tampa Bay's reclaimed players, so it's possible.
Doesn't look like JT is getting traded. Any moves by the Canucks today?
They're going to be relatively quiet. Jim Rutherford yesterday basically stated they weren't close on any kind of a JT Miller trade and that they weren't going to be that busy today.
Just wanted to say thanks for putting on this stream. Our kitty cat suddenly passed away yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. Your streams always cheer me up. That's awful.
Yeah, that's a shame. My condolences. It's never easy losing a pet.
What do you think the Ducks need to do to be competitive, or just another bad year?
They'll be better this year than last year. They had a good first half, and then, of course, it fell apart in the second half. I think they'll be better. I don't know if they'll be a playoff team, but they should be better.
Couldn't have picked a better jersey for the stream today. There's a bunch of people that have asked why you're wearing that jersey.
Because I think Carolina's going to be busy, and I haven't worn a Carolina jersey in a while. So
there you go.
Somebody signed Vetrano. That'd be great. Somebody I cheer for signed Vetrano. Dallas can sign Vetrano.
The bunnies are upstairs right now.
Yeah, the bunnies I haven't had down here.
The buns are upstairs right now.
I had Pickle down here yesterday. I had Cinnabon down here for a little while. She kind of gets into everything. So I have to keep an eye on her at all times. But Pickle,
she's a sweet rabbit.
Pickle's actually friends with Bear too, which is kind of nice. She comes down and lays next to him, and they play. And
because they're both chill.
I've never seen a rabbit play with a cat, but they play with each other. So yeah, she kind of like half swats at him, and he kind of jumps, and he tries to play with Shadow, but Shadow's too aggressive.
He smacks everybody.
He grabs, right? He gets all of his paws, and I caught him once. He was trying to grab him with all four paws, which that's how he plays. But to a rabbit, you're confining it,
and he's so big.
Yeah.
Who steps in for Kopp as Rangers' second center?
I think they're going to try to sign somebody today, and if they don't, they have until October to figure that out. I mean, there's been talk about the kid line being promoted this year. Maybe somebody from the kid line ends up getting a shot at that job.
Do you think the Rangers will make any moves?
They have to be working the phones right now. They absolutely have to be. The one thing you have to balance is, because we always have the winners and losers immediately being declared. If you're a general manager, you look at the market right now and it's all this wonderful stuff, but it's not this magic elixir to fix everything that's wrong with your team. It is a chance to maybe plug a hole or two in the lineup if you have it, but you still have until the middle of October to fix things. You still have training camp, and there's going to be GMs who make bad decisions today financially, who you're going to be able to call and go, so you got that contract, I'll take it, because you can't pay it or you can't afford to keep it.
Again. Justin Schultz to Seattle.
It'd be a good move for Seattle.
Hold on, it jumped. I was on.
Why did you jump?
There we go. What did you think about Boston trade, and do they do anything else?
It's a minor deal. It's a relatively risk-free deal for Boston. They pick up Zaka, a good young player. And so we'll see how that works out for Boston. Haula wasn't going to be in long-term plans anyways, so pretty simple. I don't think Boston's going to be that busy. I think that they're waiting for Bergeron and Krejci to decide.
Yvonne's wearing a Kings jersey solely because it's dope, not because they'll be busy today. That is true. Great stream as always.
Go Kings, go. Yeah. Yeah, Yvonne, I got that for her a while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Didn't you get this for me for Christmas a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I think this was in that Christmas that you found a bunch of jerseys.
That was really the Christmas that I gave you 18 presents or something like that.
I got a lot of jerseys, and a lot of them were jerseys that aren't very common. So I have some fun ones.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a few people that are wanting kind of a little summary of what has happened so far.
The ones that are confirmed, and I do see other ones in the chat, but I want to just go by what I'm seeing confirmed here. Claude Giroux's a Senator, so he's gone to Ottawa. Ilya Samsonov is going to be in Toronto, so now it's Samsonov and Murray. So that's not awful. It's better than Shalgren and Murray. And Jack Campbell has signed with Edmonton, which was the worst kept secret in the world. Kemper should be on the board soon as being a member of the Washington Capitals, and Andrew Kopp's rumored to be on his way to Detroit.
Will Jack Campbell start for Edmonton?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, with a $5 million contract, he will be the starter.
What defenseman does Pittsburgh move, and for what?
I don't know. I don't know that they're moving out a defenseman yet. If they do, I would think that they would be trying to make some cap space. Pittsburgh still thinks that they're contending for the Stanley Cup. That's why they kept Malkin. That's why they kept Letang. That's what they're going to have their eye towards if they make any deal.
What are the Blue Jackets going to do? Who are their main targets?
The Blue Jackets, I think their biggest concern right now is they want to make sure they keep Line A. They want to make sure they keep things together as they are, and I don't think they want to sign any crazy contracts. So if they sign anybody, it'll probably be a secondary player.
How do you see Burns fitting in with the Kings?
He'll be fine. I think what we saw this past year with Carolina was anybody you add to Carolina, they have this really good sense for who's going to fit in and who's not. So they would have done their due diligence on Burns. The one thing with Burns, he's not the same defenseman he was 5 years ago.
How do you feel about Chicago rebuilding by getting rid of their young players? Bold strategy, Cotton.
It is unusual. Usually you will see the veterans getting moved out and the younger players sticking around. It is definitely scorched earth in Chicago. It is the most dramatic shift towards a complete and total rebuild I can remember. And I would include the Ottawa Senators back in 2018 as not being as dramatic as this. This is an absolutely shocking, just everybody can go kind of thing. And yeah, we will see how things go for Chicago, but they clearly want the number one pick next year.
Who do you think the Kings will sign? I'm kind of upset with Edler signing. He's so slow.
Edler got league minimum. He's going to play third pairing. I don't think that's going to hurt them. Worst case scenario, he doesn't make the team. They send him down to Ontario, and they don't have the cap hit. It's only $750,000 cap hit. So if they send him to the minors, it's completely gone.
What's Florida going to do?
Well, losing Giroux isn't a great move. There's rumors that they're close to an extension on Huberdeau. They want to keep the gang together. So it's important to be able to keep everybody together, that young core. So that's their prime concern right now. I don't think they're going to be that busy trying to add. I do think they want to move Bobrovsky's contract.
How many of these Rangers rumors do you think stick?
I stay away from the rumors. The rumors almost never come through. And it's funny too, because even the insiders guys you see on TV, a trade will happen. They'll be, I'm really surprised this happened. Yeah, and that's why I don't get into the speculations and the rumors, because often it just ends up being smoke and there's no fire there.
Chicago clearly tanking for Bedard. Only reason.
Yeah, this is Connor Bedard is an absolutely fantastic talent. It makes sense to tank for him. I'm just surprised at how obvious they're being with it.
Yager to Toronto. Just kidding. Who's the best free agent of all time?
Panarin has that potential. Panarin with what he's done with the Rangers on that contract has that potential. But they'd have to win a Stanley Cup for that to really be the case.
Do you think the Ducks will make any moves today? This channel is amazing. Cheers from Sweden.
I don't think the Ducks are going to be overly busy. I think Pat Verbeek's been pretty honest that he is intending to basically do the rebuild and do it properly. And so they'll be adding young players if they can, maybe some veterans on cheap contracts who can help, shepherd along the kids, but they're not going to do anything crazy.
If Gaudreau somehow got to Detroit with Kopp, would that make them a playoff team?
That would definitely put them in the conversation. And then it's a matter of Edvinsson, if he comes over this year and plays well, that helps out their blue line. The blue line's the one thing I might have a concern with Detroit about putting them in the playoffs, but if they added Gaudreau, that'd be ridiculous. But the rumor is he's going to a Metro team.
Will Winnipeg make a trade or try to add anybody today?
I would think that they'll try to add players, but again, I don't expect Winnipeg to be looking at primary guys. I think it'll be secondary scoring, secondary defense.
Would love next year's Eastern Finals, New Jersey versus Ottawa, Western Colorado versus Edmonton. Not happening. Stay healthy, Shannon. Well done on your work ethic.
I would actually, I would like to see a team come out of nowhere and end up in the playoffs. I would love to see the Ottawa Senators back in the playoffs. I enjoy when Ottawa's playing well. I have always liked the Ottawa Senators. So hopefully this major set of moves that they've put together, hopefully it works for them.
Do you think any team will sign Sean Avery?
If they do, they'll cut him within a couple hours after that.
Okay, hold on. It skipped again.
It's because you got 5,500 people in the chat.
Okay, got that one.
You got that. You got that.
Got that one. Okay. If you see Florida wanting to move the Bobrovsky contract, could you see Seattle being an option?
Seattle's already paying a lot to Grubauer. And even with Drieger, and apparently they're expected to sign Martin Jones. I'm seeing on the Chiron on the screen here. So I don't think that's a fit. That's a huge contract. I don't think Seattle would be interested.
Who signs Nick Hague to an offer sheet? Detroit?
I don't know that Hague would be an attractive option for an offer sheet. You'd have to offer enough that Vegas would be willing to give him up. And I don't know if that cap hit then becomes too high to justify the contract.
You get to watch one game. Which teams do you choose?
Boston, Montreal. Always Boston, Montreal. Even when one team's good and the other team's bad, there's still fun games to watch.
Thoughts on everything Flyers did this offseason and their future?
Well, see, if they manage to sign Gaudreau, if they manage to make things work that way, then I think that'll help. But It's been a PR relations nightmare for Philly so far. We'll see if it continues to be the case.
What do the Sharks do today?
Well, they're trading Brent Burns. Once you've traded out Burns, depending on how much of his contract you're trading, if it's all of it, then you can make some pretty. You can make at least a major signing or two decent signings.
Who's going to be the backup for the Blues next year? Much love.
The Blues are apparently ready to sign Grice. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
See, and they're only reporting like a few actual signings. So there's a lot of rumors out there of who's signing in for what. But the actual signings that have been made and published is what they're doing on here. And I try to stay away from the rumor part of it.
I've heard Kane wants to be traded to the Rangers.
See, I saw that in the comment section last night, and I stated that I've only seen that as a rumor. I haven't seen that as stated fact. And Kane's a winger. The Rangers need help in the middle. Kane's not a center, so that definitely would complicate things. I would think you'd have to move somebody else out.
I want only one thing before I die. Wings versus Hawks Stanley Cup final.
It's going to be a while. If you're waiting for that one, it's going to be a while.
Ian Cole to the Lightning.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Cole's moving on. That doesn't surprise me at all. Bergeron not ready to confirm return to Bruins yet. So Bergeron's still making up his mind. If it was just, oh, well, I'm just going to sign in Boston, I'm coming back, he would have signed already.
How much do you squat Broski? It's probably half a ton minimum.
I don't do squats. I do the treadmill. That's as far as I go as treadmill. 5 miles a day, and that's it. So yeah, the Kraken are expected to sign Justin Schultz to a 2-year contract. Lightning signed Cole to a 1-year contract for $3 million.
My name is Yvonne.
Also answers to Ivan.
I don't.
Evan.
I don't.
Ivar.
Nope. Lazar
Lady
to
friend.
Canucks. Nope.
Lady friend works.
Nope.
It does, though.
It does not.
How about Toots?
Definitely not.
Okay. I just wanted to check if you changed your mind on that one.
Nope. That won't
Lazar to
happen.
Canucks would be fun because he played Boston last year.
Leafs should sign Jason Allison again.
I don't know if I've done a career video on Jason Allison yet. I should if I haven't.
Had to step out for a minute. Did the Ducks do anything?
They picked up Johnny Gaudreau. They picked up the contract for Bobrovsky, traded Gibson to get it, and then they decided to trade Trevor Zegras for future considerations to Montreal. But other than that, you didn't miss anything.
No, I'm just Yvonne. That's it. It's just Yvonne. Nothing else.
Y to the S. She answers to Y to the S as well.
I don't actually.
Yeah.
I don't answer. You? Nope. I definitely don't answer to
and
that
if you
either.
Just snap your fingers in the right way,
I will go the opposite direction. Nope. Nope. Yeah. Doesn't ever work, does it?
Does.
No. It
Works
really
well.
Nope. The Pens should sign Lindblom to a sub $1 million deal, make the buyout look even better.
I could see Lindblom ending up almost anywhere. He's a decent bottom 6 guy. I know he had a rough year in Philly, but who didn't? So I'd like to see him go somewhere and bounce back.
It's Pittsburgh setting themselves back in the future by continuing to chase the cup when the window is most likely closed for them.
Oh, absolutely. We saw that with Detroit towards the end of Ken Holland's run there, where he really wanted to make another run of it. Pittsburgh, again, they've been in the playoffs every year for a long time. So, yeah, I definitely think that's part of it.
My name starts with a Y, not an E. No, my family is very British. British Canadian. My mom did a DNA test for me recently and found that, yep, that's it. There's nothing, nothing else. It's all British Canadian. There's a little bit of Scottish. That's it.
Who specifically does
Yep.
Detroit have to sign to be a definite playoff team? Cop helps. That'll help their penalty kill. That'll help them in various areas, scoring wise. And I think if they've really got their goaltending set up with Husso, I think they're in good shape right now.
If you were the Blues GM, what is one move you would definitely do this offseason?
End all the uncertainty with Tarasenko. They have to end the either get him to say I want to stick around here or move on from him, and have that cap space gone, even if you have to keep part of the contract for the final year.
Let's see, from Friedman, Vancouver signs Lazar for 3 years, 1 million ABV.
Good. That's a good pickup. That's improving their bottom six. He'll step in for, I would think he'd take Lamico or Highmore's spot there.
Kemper to Washington, good for DC.
Kemper is a good goaltender. He's not a top 5 guy, but as you saw with Colorado, you don't have to have a top 5 guy if you have a really good defense out there too. I think Kemper, I think they're going to be happy with him in Washington. This
channel is great. Thanks for keeping me up to date on the Oilers games when I work. Have a great week.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the hockey being back in it's going to be back sooner than you think.
It always is.
Plus, we have the World Juniors
little bit August of off 9th season, and it's kind of nice.
The World Juniors go from August 9th to 22nd, so I'll have hockey to watch in August.
Thoughts on who Toronto gets for fourth line center?
Fourth line center is really wide open. Honestly, they might look from within on that. Maybe there's another Spets out there, another veteran player who they can bring in on a 1-year contract. Not the toe fungus commercial again. Come on.
Cervelli reports Trocheck to Rangers for 7 years.
7 years. So there's your second line center. Vinny Trocheck is an interesting one in that he didn't score as many points for Carolina this past year as one might have expected, but he's a very good player. I think he'll fit in really well with the Rangers.
Hey, Shannon, your channel is great. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Bobrovsky to the Caps or Chicago? Who's taking him?
If it's goaltender Bobrovsky you're talking about, his contract, I don't think Chicago would touch it. Washington's taking Kemper. If it's Burakovsky, I could see him going back to the Caps. If it's a decent a cap hit for him, I could see that working potentially.
Yeah, I don't think we need a second camera.
No.
Pass on that. What teams do you think absolutely have to nail free agency day today?
I don't think there's a team that has to nail it today. I think there's teams that, like Ottawa. I think adding Claude Giroux is a huge move for them. I think that they've signaled that they're done with the rebuild. I'm excited as somebody who's followed the Sens for a long time and wants to see them do well. I think that there's a lot of importance put on free agency day, and I understand, I get it, but does it get overblown on some level? Kind of. When I start seeing, well, this team sucks now because of free agency. Usually teams won't fall out of the playoffs because they didn't pick up that third line guy or that top 4 defenseman in free agency. There's usually something else behind it.
According to Friedman, Robert Thomas signed for 8 years with the Blues.
Yep. But that's a re-signing, so I don't put the re-signings on the board. It's just when a guy's changing teams.
What happens to Connor Brown now?
Brown may still end up in Edmonton. That's been the rumor, and I could still see Brown ending up in Edmonton. Remember, they want to get rid of Puljujarvi. Puljujarvi wants to go as well, so there's another winger that they need to replace. Connor Brown would be a pretty solid pickup for them.
Where's Colorado getting all this money to sign their free agents?
They still had cap space. Basically, when everybody was saying that Joe Sakic had all this cap space, he should go get this guy and this guy. Every expensive player was attached to them. He didn't, and this is why. He didn't want to end up in a bad situation.
We did find Into the Void. We have it. Kai asked.
I had a feeling it was Kai that was asking. I will finish it. I promise.
We do have it.
They advertised Thor, Love, and Thunder during it.
Where do you see Puljujarvi going?
Apparently, there's not a lot of takers on Puljujarvi, and I get it. He didn't have a great season this year. I think he'll end up probably. He might be a good pickup for a team like Ottawa, but I maybe he ends up back in Europe.
Ube Kubel to Leafs per Saravelli.
So there's your cup ring.
Oh, hold on. There we go. It froze. Sorry. All of the players the Penguins signed this offseason will be injured this season. They get Bedard, then win the cup the following years. Hashtag conspiracy.
Oh, I can't wait for the Bedard lottery. I know there's going to be some conspiracy theory about whoever wins that draft lottery.
The Blues should trade Vladimir Tarasenko and Torrey Krug for Matthew Tkachuk.
That wouldn't do it. That wouldn't even be close to doing it.
Where do you think Klingberg will go if not the Canes?
Klingberg's a tough call because again, he wants maximum term. He may not get signed today. It may take a little bit longer for Klingberg. I would say he's gone from an underrated defenseman to a little bit of an overrated defenseman, and I that's as far as I'm going to go with it. It might take him a little bit longer. So, because again, I don't know what the cap's going to look like for him. So if it's a big cap hit, that would rule out some of the teams that I might otherwise like. Would Edmonton maybe be interested if Edmonton wants a puck moving defenseman to add to their group? Problem is his defense is a little suspect.
Do Hackstall and Francis have a long leash, or are they in trouble without improvement this year?
Francis has a long leash. I don't know with Hackstall. The thing is, if in the event that that they decide that they should be better, like let's say season 2 is worse than season 1, Francis may decide that Hackstall is not the guy behind the bench. But he does have a pretty long leash. He really does.
If the Caps sign Kemper, won't they still be in the market for that number 1 goalie?
Oh, no. Kemper would be the number 1. You don't sign Kemper unless he's going to be your number 1. So that would basically set their number 1. The problem is they don't have a backup either. Copley's on the market. They traded Vanacek and Samsonov's in Toronto, so they don't have anybody.
Hearing Gurian has interest in Perron. Thoughts?
A lot of teams are going to have interest in Perron. I think his preference would be to return to St. Louis, and I think he'll do everything he can to stay in St. Louis. I'd really be surprised if he doesn't.
Who will pick Palat?
Palat, it depends. Again, it really depends on the cap hit. I just basically at this point, I'd be just throwing names at the board and seeing what sticks. Palat's going to want to go to a team that I would think he'd want to go to a contending team. You know what? Ottawa. I'll just say Ottawa. Sure. Why not Ottawa?
Can Columbus do anything pretty please?
I mean, they can, but I don't think they're going to be in on any of the really big names.
Okay. Calgary snagged Kadri as first center, unleash Lindy on right wing.
I don't think Kadri is a number 1 center in the NHL. I think for Kadri, I think he's best suited to being a number 2 center. If he's your number 1 center, I think that's problematic. So he's best suited as being a number 2. I know he had great numbers in Colorado, but that's partly because he was a number 2.
Zach out of Boston, Howla to New Jersey.
Yeah, I saw that. That was before we started the live stream today. I'm not putting trades on the board. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible because the board can get kind of ridiculous. And then the whole chat is, no, you got to fix. Hey, this is wrong. You got this number wrong. This is wrong. So not this time. I've learned. I do learn.
Will Varley be on Isles opening day?
I think so. I think Varlamov played well.
Yeah, there we go.
He had some ups and downs this past season, but I think they still believe in him.
Hold on. It jumped again. There we go. Caps could call up Fucali as backup.
They could. It's interesting with Fucali because his numbers at the NHL level have been good, but I don't think GMs and coaches have faith in him. I would be fine with him getting called up, but there are third goaltending options in other organizations as well that you could look at. So I don't think there's any reason. Again, if a team hasn't filled the holes in their roster today, there's no need to panic. Free agency runs through really until the start of hockey season. We're going to see guys who don't get signed who end up on professional tryout contracts. And sometimes those guys end up being key to winning a Stanley Cup.
Kemper and Fucali would be a decent tandem. Fucali shut out my wings. Sad face. Leafs signed Uwe Kubel. It's a dented cup for Toronto.
Yeah, he's the one that dropped it. You saw that, right?
I did see that. I was the one that told you about that. I was like, hey, did you see that? Because he was busy doing video stuff, of course, by the time they got to the group photo.
Well, yeah.
Vancouver signed Kuzmenko. There you go. They need to bring back Goldobin.
Oh, God, no.
As well, and put them with Podkolzin. LOL. Hashtag vodka.
No. She laughed because she remembers me talking about Goldobin. Because they kept bringing him back.
Shannon might kind of yell about players sometimes. He doesn't do it on the channel, but he does it at home.
They kept bringing Goldobin back, and I'm like, oh
my God. Why is he on the ice?
Why?
Get him
out. This experiment needs to stop. There is no upside. You need to stop talking about. He's got upside. He's still young. No, stop it. Just stop it. You can't. This trying to make fetch happen. No, stop it.
Trigger reports. The 5-year 5.625 for Cop 2 Detroit.
Yeah, well, that's right in between. That's right where it was supposed to be.
Hey.
What?
Hi there.
I'm just writing something on the board.
Mm-hmm. Sure you are.
I just, I write things on the board. So Andrew Kopp is
right.
And again, Darcy Kemper is going to be a capital. I just haven't written it down yet because it's not confirmed.
Better than 50% to Beauvillier is traded.
I don't know if they trade Beauvillier because his value's low right now, and I like Beauvillier. I kind of think keep him and hope for a bounce back year from him, but that's me. So
why
it's
are
Lou.
They in an empty arena.
That's Vancouver.
But why are they there? Why have that backdrop?
Because they all do. All the reporters have the empty arena backdrop.
It's weird looking.
I know.
Okay.
It looks like they're setting up for a concert.
It does. They've got the little barricade without the glass.
Yep. Looks like they're setting up for a concert.
Yep. What do NHL live changes per Sportsnet now? Plus users mean. Okay. I don't know that I can.
I haven't seen.
How will we still be able to watch out of market games?
I haven't seen changes to how they're doing it. I mean, I have the NHL Live subscription, which allows me to see all of them. I have the Center Ice package through my cable as well. The NHL Live I had 3 years ago for when we were traveling, when we'd actually go to the States, because it works in both.
You can't find anything.
Works in both Canada and the US. So while we were in the States, I was like, fine, I'll get NHL Live then. So I got it. Well, I got the NHL Live in Canada, and then it worked in the States as well. I think I saved money that way too. But yeah, so I haven't heard of any changes. I haven't heard of any changes to anything being done with the streaming services. It should be the same this coming year, I would think. So if you're able to watch out of market games this past season, you should be able to this year as well.
Jays firing their manager ruined my happy Sens mood.
I'm surprised that they fired Montoyo. I understand that the Jays have disappointed people here and there, but I'm not sure what the expectations are. I guess maybe they're too high. I don't think he's the problem, but again, in sports, it's easier to fire the coach than the players.
Thoughts on the Bruins this season? Does the count of Monty get guys like Frederick and Sudsy on track?
I'm not bullish on Boston. I think that Boston is going to have a hard time. I think Ottawa's going to be better. Detroit's going to be better. Buffalo's going to be better. There won't be any easy points in that division anymore. Maybe Montreal won't be a lot better, but still, I think Boston falls back this year. And I haven't seen anything from Boston that tells me that's not going to happen.
Habs move Anderson or Allen. Hope you make it out to the Rock someday soon. Love when you give. Oh, and I'll shout out
Newfoundland.
Yes.
Anderson, I
That
mean,
would be good.
it's possible. Jake Allen, I don't think is going anywhere unless they get word that Price is going to be fine. I think Allen's the starter. I really hope Price is able to come back and play, but I don't think you're ever going to be able to count on Price playing a full season again.
Shannon, how did the Leafs start 1812 and TV?
Television itself was started shortly after the War of 1812, only because they were trying to recount the events of the War of 1812. And somebody said, look, I'll just show you the pictures. And so they had taken a bunch of pictures very quickly. What they had to do is, because they had lined up all these cameras. They had about 40 cameras lined up. And so they took pictures at 10-second intervals. And so they flipped them and they're like, hey, those are in motion. And that was, it started in. And then Edison stole the damn thing and ran off with it. So
okay. Anyways,
stupid Edison.
Anyways, can we use a betting app during the draft?
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't recommend the betting app. Apparently the THG betting app has started setting fires to phones. So if you have it, if you have the betting app on your phone, the THG betting app,
you guys need to stop encouraging.
We suggest keeping your phone encased in some kind of an icy structure, and hopefully something that isn't made of actual ice. You can't have water near the betting app either. I'm not sure what we're working with the development team. It's interesting. We just hired Christopher Walken for the development team. So it's nice to have him in O&D, isn't it?
Okay.
It's kind of nice to have him in O&D.
Moving on. Okay. Do you think Dylan Strome to Edmonton would be a good idea? Reuniting Strome and McDavid from juniors seems like a slam dunk.
I think that'd be nice. I'd like to see all three Strome brothers signed by the same team. My goodness. Personally. Who's in macro data refinement today?
NFT still solid though. Oh my gosh.
I had a problem with the NFTs as well, that I had this URL and then Adelaide drew a picture and she replaced the URL. So now you have Adelaide's picture. So we're going to need to get that back from whoever got that NFT, because she needs that for school. So, and they won't accept a picture of me smiling with a hockey stick as her schoolwork.
Dork.
So.
Okay. Domi and Athanasiou to Chicago.
Wow, that's the thing. I was wondering. So Chicago's just going to add players, because when teams get into the rebuild, they just add. Okay, we got to have players. We got to have the contracts. If that's the case, that's basically what's going on there.
Let's see. What do you think about Tampa signing Cole?
Cole's a good third pairing defenseman. Clearly had to move on from where he was in Carolina. If you know, you know. And so, Ian Cole moving to Tampa. He's a veteran defenseman and shouldn't hurt them. Tampa Bay's obviously trying to stay in contention to win their third cup in 4 years.
People are wanting a summary so far.
Summary so far of the done deals. Kevin Rooney's now a member of the Calgary Flames, so that's the bottom six move. Jack Campbell's your new starting goaltender in Edmonton. Curtis Lazar is now bottom six forward for the Canucks. Andrew Kopp has been added to the Detroit Red Wings as expected. Claude Giroux is now a member of the Ottawa Senators. Ian Cole has been added to the blue line in Tampa. The Toronto Maple Leafs have added Elias Samsonov in net. They've added Nick Aube-Kubel as the top bottom six forward and a Stanley Cup ring. Brendan Smith has been added to the New Jersey Devils, because I think Brendan Smith was with the Rangers last year, and Vincent Trocheck's been added to the New York Rangers, or Vinny Trocheck as he's also known.
Olli Mata to Detroit.
Trying to think, does Mata have any connection? No, he wouldn't have any connection with.
Saw a guy comment, your jerseys are worth $50,000. What do you think? That seems like a lot. Certainly didn't pay anywhere near that much. I'm doing some math really quick here. I think that's kind of an over guess, but
see, here's the thing. I didn't pay that.
Not even
I didn't pay, but
some of them
could they be worth it?
Harder to find.
Could they be worth it? Yes, because a lot of the ones that I have, you cannot find any longer.
Right.
A lot of the ones I added, I got for 50, 60, 70 bucks back 3-4 years ago. As soon as I heard CCM had lost the contract to make the NHL jerseys, I went on a spree to buy as many of them as possible. I wasn't worried about condition. I wanted to get as many of them as possible. So it's possible that that it's worth that. I didn't pay that for it.
Nowhere near
Nope.
that. Let's see. Kiddo and I love your videos. He would like to ask good caps options for third pair with Schultz gone to Seattle. He predicts Subban. I do not.
PK is going to end up being a third pairing defenseman. I don't think that he's going to cost a lot of money either. There are a lot of defensemen on the market, though. Washington likely would be looking for a more veteran guy on the blue line, but you might be able to acquire that in trade too. So there may not be a move there today. They may just add Kemper and stick with that, but yeah, we'll see.
All of these jerseys, any jerseys in this room are legit. They are not fakes. We do have some fakes. Most are ones that subscribers have sent to us because they know that I will chop them up and use them for somebody else.
If I had
something
fakes,
else, but they're all in a bin together. You will never see Shannon wear a fake jersey.
No,
just
because
nope, not gonna happen. That would look really bad.
That would look awful.
They're usually the wrong color, and the logos are usually bubbly.
Apparently,
nope.
Apparently, Arizona's busy. They're on the verge of signing Nick Bjugstad, Josh Brown, and Troy Stetcher. So it's not confirmed yet, but those are 3 players who are looking at signing.
Drager confirmed 1 year, 2.25 for Mata. Trade. Blackhawks signed Domi and Athanasiou. Hope we eventually see NHLers from Spain and Romania.
I don't know of any Romanians being drafted into the NHL. Spain, I know I've seen them because I used to really get into the international hockey and into the tiers of international hockey because I find that really interesting. I sometimes think an interesting story is, those countries that we don't talk about where people do play hockey and all that. I'd love to see players from other countries getting in. So yeah, I agree. It'd be great to see.
Looking forward to seeing y'all at a Stars game. That's weird when I say y'all.
It's not weird.
It's not. Yep, that's not a word I say.
You grew up in Idaho, so they say y'all there all the time.
Not actually, but
how are the potatoes, y'all? That's right on the sign when you're entering Idaho. How are the potatoes,
Shannon has made up this whole history for me, and it's not true. And
it's true.
Yep, it's not.
It's very true.
Will the Pens trade D and lower 6 for FW? I don't know. Forward. Okay, I was guessing it was forward, but I wasn't sure. For a bigger name.
I mean, it's possible, but I think keeping Raquel, was huge for them. They did let Heinen go as a UFA, although they could still bring him back. Again, we'll see after today where teams are at. I will absolutely be doing reports. Going through where teams are at, I still have to finish off the draft ones too. So yeah, they will definitely be a team to watch.
It's Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews.
Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, that says Johnson. I know who Johnson was.
I know.
Getting traded today.
No, they will not be getting traded today, but I do not expect either of them to finish the season in Chicago if this continues at the rate that it's going. Although Kane is one that I think they'd like to keep. I think they'd like to keep Kane and have him retire in Chicago. But I don't know how much patience he's going to have just with the amount of players that have exited.
Fun fact, did you know if you search the hockey guy using Alexa, she knows who you are? That's weird. I'll have to test that.
That's because
Will Alexa know that you live here?
Well, see, the actress that does the voice. See, back in...
No, oh gosh.
That was 1996. It was summer. It was a good summer. And she remembers that summer. So if you ask her about the summer 96, she'll know. It was a good summer.
You're such a dork.
I'm not a dork. And then they just put it into the programming. So people just find it's like an Easter egg. Like in a movie, you have your Easter eggs.
Do you think the Kings will make a big move?
See, they show the dented cup.
Yeah.
The Kings, I don't know that they'll make a big move. I do expect depth moves being made, though. I do expect some depth moves being made.
How do you get jerseys so cheap?
Patience.
I was just gonna say he's very
Patience
patient.
and being
There's
willing.
been some jerseys he has waited for years till he finds one that's the right size
and being
price.
willing to get a jersey with a player on the back who's no longer with the team. So a lot of the time, jerseys go on sale because a guy gets traded. I don't care about that. I just wanted the team's jersey. So there's a lot of jerseys back here with names on them. I got them because the guy got traded and the jersey went on for a third of the price.
Yeah. Okay. Been watching the channel for about 2 years. I don't watch any other hockey news besides you. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Agreed. Okay, let's see here. Oh, skipping around again. How many games would Milbury be suspended if the shoe incident happened in 2022? A lot.
20.
It would be a lot.
I would say 20, and I would say he'd have to do like a public apology. And then he might not have been allowed
involved.
He might not have been allowed to play in that arena again.
Okay, I got that one.
Wait, $3 million each for Domi and Athanasiou. It's a good payday for Domi. Athanasiou, I think that's fair. It's a good payday for Domi.
What do you think about the Bruins getting Zaka?
Zaka's still got some upside. I know that the Canucks were enamored with him. I didn't see that much from Zaka this year to tell me that there's a lot of top six upside there, but hopefully he turns out with Boston. They only gave up Howell for him.
Oh, there's people on here that don't know the shoe incident.
During a brawl, he actually went out and clubbed a guy in the crowd with his own shoe
in the stands,
when he was a hockey player.
A fan. He climbed into the stands.
Yeah. Nailed a guy with his own shoe.
Yes.
Imagine taking off a guy's shoe and beating him with it. That's what Mike Milbury did. So if that happened now, yeah, it's at least 20 games. And probably banned from that arena.
What kind of discount do teams get on players, money or intangibles, if they're perceived as a serious cup contender?
I don't know that there's a monetary value, and I do wonder if there's a way that I could look and find comparables and try to estimate that. It's definitely there. I think that I want to estimate guys take 20%. I'll say 20% is probably right about where it is, where guys are willing to make that amount less if they think they have a real shot at a Stanley Cup and they're able to help that team still have cap space to sign other guys too.
Does Carolina go after JT with today's losses?
They could. Miller, the asking price for Miller is going to be high from Vancouver. So it has to be a team that's willing to pay a pretty high price. So if Carolina is willing to pay that price, and then they would likely be allowed to sit down and talk contract with them before the trade takes place, then it may work out. And that might be a good setup for JT Miller.
If the Islanders lose out on Gaudreau, who should their next target be?
If the Rangers lose out on Gaudreau, the Rangers have Trocheck. The Islanders. Yeah, that's an interesting one because I do wonder with Gaudreau too. He's coming off a 115-point year, whether or not the Islanders would be an ideal location for him. If the Islanders lose out on him, I don't expect Lamoriello to be overly aggressive today. I really don't. I'd be very surprised if he's overly aggressive today. I think he's going to be pretty quiet. Maybe he'll make signings, say a week from now, kind of thing. He doesn't like deadlines. He doesn't like being told what to do. We've seen that in previous years where contracts get announced like at the very last minute. So if he does anything, he may not even announce it. You may just hear, yeah, this guy's off the market. Where is he? I don't know. Lou won't answer the phone. So we'll see. But I don't know that they're going to be that aggressive. They may be in on Johnny Hockey, but outside of that, I don't know that they'd be that aggressive.
Colin White signs with the Panthers.
Colin White's an interesting one. He's still young enough to bounce back. I'm not sure how much how much is there though for him. I don't know that the upside is still there. I think the injuries really took a toll on him.
Did the fan get hurt with the blade? No, it was a shoe, not a skate.
Ilya Mikheyev is now a Vancouver Canuck. Ilya Mikheyev is now a Vancouver Canuck. Thanks, Toronto. I can say that again. I can say it again. Every time Mikheyev scores a goal, I can say thanks, Toronto. Yay! It's back. It's back. There it is on TV. Ilya Mikheyev, 4 years, $4.75 million a season.
Where does Shoresy go?
That seems high. I'm going to be honest. I think $4.75 million cap hit for 4 years for Mikheyev is high. I think there's a lot of risk with that contract. Lyubushkin signs with the Sabres. 2 years, $2.75 million. So I'll get that on the board here.
We did not go into any Kraken games because border stuff. So not yet.
We're hoping to this coming season. So Lyubushkin's off to Buffalo.
It will be hard for us to get to Kraken games though, because that's a 3-hour drive. And that's late at night.
The border in between.
Yeah, border. And we have 3 children.
Yeah.
So that's a whole lot of difficult right there.
The logistics of going to a Vancouver game can be tricky. So a Seattle game is just that much more difficult.
We don't make very many Vancouver games just because that's difficult enough.
That's why when they moved the team to Abbotsford, the AHL team, we got season tickets because like that's easy.
Yeah. Burns is a Canes. Let's flip and go.
Yep, I will be reporting on all of that once the live stream is done.
If the Flyers can't get anyone to take JVR, do they trade Konechny or Hayes?
I think Konechny's going to end up on the move. I honestly think that could end up being a mistake. I would hope the Canucks would be in on that as the tie between Konechny and Horvat. But they will definitely move one of them.
Most likely Sanheim, Provorov, or Pitt LHD to LA.
If they can pick up Provorov, that's a good pickup. Provorov had a better year this year than the one before. He's missed Niskanen since Niskanen retired. That's been said tons because it's accurate. But if he's with the right guy in LA, I think he would absolutely excel. I still think Provorov's a pretty good defenseman. So nothing on Kadri yet.
Comrie to Buffalo. Thoughts on that?
I'm surprised Comrie didn't stay with Winnipeg. I thought Comrie had a good year with Winnipeg. Yvonne's going to be out there throwing stuff and swearing after the live stream because Comrie's gone.
I don't swear.
She's going to be so angry.
That's not a thing.
She's going to be so angry. Yarrow Halak is signed with the Rangers. So there you go. The Rangers get Yarrow Halak. Hopefully he's better than he was in Vancouver this year or Boston the year before. And I say that honestly because Halak had a rough year in Vancouver.
Pierre McGuire is going off. The Yvonne temper is legendary.
What's he going off about? What's his problem?
Burns trade is confirmed.
Seriously, what's
Seattle's like a 3-hour drive from Seattle. Oh my gosh, Seattle traffic is awful.
Do you know
I hate driving in Seattle and around the arena area? Oh my gosh.
Bad.
I do not like driving in Seattle. Well, I don't like driving in the States at all. I really don't.
It is completely different.
It is. I don't like driving in the States, but Seattle is terrible. Nope.
What would Pierre have to be freaking out about? Is it the Mikheyev contract? Is it because the Sens fired him? I'd like to see him just go on like this.
Bad DC traffic is the worst.
I've heard DC traffic is really bad.
Pass.
LA traffic is awful. We saw that going from the airport.
I very rarely drive when we go to the States. I don't like driving in the States. I don't. So I usually don't.
See, if they didn't have that big newsbreaker splash in the background, how would you know they're breaking news? You'd have no idea.
Looked like they were just sitting there chatting.
I sometimes think with graphics in sports that they're there just because graphics.
Well, those guys have to do something.
Yeah.
They're paying him, so might as well make something pretty.
Should call in Christopher Walken and see if it's something to do with that. You can get him out of O&D.
Shannon. Okay, anyways, where do you think Kessel, Radulov, and Laine would go if they moved? Also, absolutely love the content. Best part of my morning. Go Sharks.
Radulov's going to be interesting because he had a really miserable year, and he's older. And it kind of feels to me like maybe he ends up going over to Europe. He will likely not be signed today. Kessel, it's possible Kessel gets signed today. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's that thing. Veteran players eventually they've played out their last contract. We'll see if either of them have.
Elliot Friedman reporting Ben Sherratt to Detroit.
Hopefully it's not a high cap hit. The cap hit's what you're always looking for with that kind of thing.
People are talking about where has the worst traffic in the States. Looks like most of the places have really bad traffic.
It is. Well, seeing that's infrastructure. The one thing that always throws me off when we cross the border is you can tell the infrastructure difference.
Yeah, the roads
internet,
are
the internet,
awful,
phone,
and
roads,
signs.
everything.
Where are the signs? Oh, anyways.
All right, so Leddy gets 4 years out of the Blues, $16 million in total.
Would you move Wallstrom in a deal for Tarasenko?
I think Wallstrom's got a lot of goal scoring upside. I think that you picking up I really like Wallstrom. I would say no.
What site are you getting the breaking trades signings off of?
I'm on Twitter and I'm watching Sportsnet and TSN. I'm just flipping back and forth between the two, and I've got them muted because I learned a couple years ago I can't listen to the TV and do the live stream at the same time. It does not work. But I can see the chyron on the bottom of the screen. I can see who's being signed, and a lot of talking head stuff that's going on.
What is Alvin doing too much for Mikheyev?
It does. That is a lot of money for Mikheyev, and 4 years too. So I guess they envision him as being a top 6 forward for the Canucks. We'll see whether or not he does what they envision him doing. I have some concerns. As a Canuck fan, I do have some concerns.
Fox is telling you good job.
Thank you, Fox person. That Robert Thomas contract, 8 years for $8 million. That's one of those things where expectations are going to change things. Now Thomas is going to be expected to score a bunch more because he makes a lot more money. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Vegas traffic isn't that bad.
As long
even
as you stay
rush
off the
hour
strip,
still can get to across the valley in decent time. Now we
strip.
haven't really got in any traffic in Vegas. I've never drove
other
in
than
Vegas,
the strip.
Though I would love to rent a car for a day just so we can go out to like the canyon or something.
We were going to.
I know. I had it whole booked.
March 2020, we had it all figured out, and then March 2020 happened. So we'd like to apologize to the globe.
I know.
Because we were supposed to be traveling that week. And then everything shut down as we were supposed to be traveling to Vegas.
Yeah. It's okay. What is that? 2 more weeks? 2.5 weeks? 2.5 weeks.
3 weeks. 3.5. No, 2.5.
I know stuff.
It's 19 days.
Just got here. What are the big moves I missed? Thank you for everything.
Okay, big moves. Claude Giroux is now an Ottawa Senator. Vinny Trocheck has signed a 6-year deal with the Rangers. Andrew Kopp signed a 5-year deal with Detroit. Ilya Mikheyev signed a 4-year contract for a lot of money for Vancouver, $4.75 million cap hit. Domi and Athanasiou have decided to take some money from Chicago, $3 million each. Jack Campbell is now the starter for the Edmonton Oilers, $5 million contract for him. 19 signings in the first hour, $164 million handed out in total.
Can we get a career video on Pierre Maguire?
I did a video on Pierre Maguire. I did a video on Pierre Maguire on his time as a coach for the Hartford Whalers, and it was, I have to admit, very entertaining to put together. Very entertaining to put together a video on Pierre Maguire and his time as a coach in the NHL. This is why when I hear, oh, he's going to be a GM, why? Why didn't they learn from his time as he's harmless as a commentator, but the GM thing just throws me.
Who do the Avalanche put to center the second line?
They will find somebody. I mean, Comfort can fill in. He showed during the playoffs he can fill in, right? When Kadri wasn't there, he filled in and did well. But I do think that we'll see them pick somebody up. If it doesn't happen today, it'll happen via some sort of trade or something. Again, there's no reason to panic at this stage. I know there will be some panic. I know there will be some discussions about which teams are completely screwed today. But yeah, I think that it'll work out just fine.
Bold prediction for the Devils next season?
Bold prediction for the Devils would be they sneak into a wild card spot. To get there, they need Hamilton to stay healthy. They need their young kids to come along. Obviously, Hughes has to stay healthy, and they need steady goaltending. That's it. It's a lot.
The difference between Canadian traffic and American traffic is not population. There are many countries that have much smaller population, or because they're a smaller country, but it's more densely populated and the traffic's not as bad.
Canadians, we all basically live right on the border. Basically,
Yes.
most of the big Canadian centers are right along the U.S. border.
It's
really cold up there, so we don't tend to live up there in large numbers. No. So we have to keep an eye on what's going on in the States because we have to keep an eye on things. So kind of babysitting, So we tend to basically align ourselves in cities along the border. It's just the way that everything's set up is just different between Canada and the US. But like again,
everything is just
American drivers don't like the way Canadians drive.
There you go. 90% of Canadian populations lives within 150 kilometers of the US border. I couldn't remember. I knew it was 90%, but I couldn't remember the distance.
It's ridiculous. It's a lot because
we have to keep here if you get very far north, it's mountains.
Yeah, there's nothing. You drive an hour from here and there's nothing. There's nothing.
Is Greece available? Better skater, Bure or Barzal?
Grace is headed apparently to St. Louis. Better skater, Bure or Barzal. That's a tough call. In his prime, I don't know that anybody could touch Bure. I really don't know that anybody could touch Bure when he was in his prime.
The documentary Canadian Bacon. That movie's great. The boys love that one. Yeah. The boys love the movie.
Well, Letterkenny. They're right on the border in Letterkenny.
We might quote that movie a bit in our house. It's so funny.
Letterkenny's funny, though, because they go to Quebec and then they go down to the States, too. So they're right amongst numerous borders there.
Okay.
Or Quebec.
Quebec.
Do some ice fishing in Quebec. And you got to watch how you talk about Celine Dion there. Don't disrespect her.
National treasure.
She's a national treasure. Don't speak her name in an angry tone.
What do you think the Oilers... Excuse me. What do you think the Oilers can do as far as options on the blue line? Did Gaudreau single-handedly bring about a rebuild for the Flames?
Flames aren't in a rebuild. I think the Flames will be fine. What was the other question?
I don't know. There we go.
Oilers options on the blue line. I mean, if they can't pick up anybody today in free agency, then you look via trade. And with their cap issues that they have, and everybody knows they have, they can go via trade.
We say, "Oh, Oklahoma." That would be the version of the song that I sing to the kids. Oh, Oklahoma.
I've heard traffic in Europe is interesting.
At least U.S. traffic isn't like Central Europe.
Yeah, I've heard there's some interesting. You've told me about some of the roads in France.
But they have better transit. Yeah, most places have way better transit, way better spaces for bikes. So there is that.
True.
What moves would you make today as a GM for Vegas?
I honestly, Vegas is a team that I think makes too many. I think they overcorrect. I think they overcorrect a lot. I think it's part of their problem, other than obviously injuries hurt them this year. But I think overcorrecting is a problem too. So I might try to figure out and make moves from within to fix things But it's Vegas. Vegas is going to do things for Vegas reasons, Vegas's way. I respect that, and we'll see how things turn out this year. I honestly would stop making really big moves, but if they trade Pacioretty, I would not be surprised.
We do have the SkyTrain. SkyTrain's great here. It doesn't come anywhere near us.
No.
We have to drive.
But don't
Depending
worry,
on
every
traffic,
time
we have to drive about 40 minutes.
every
to
time
get
there's an
to the
election
SkyTrain.
cycle, every election cycle, they promise they're going to build the SkyTrain out to Chilliwack. And then after they go, we can't do that. Did you see how far that is? Thanks for voting for us, though.
If we can at least get it to Langley, that'd be good. Because as it is, we have to get to Surrey.
Right.
But good morning, Chief. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Chief, not Chef. Shannon's not a chef.
I can be a chef. Do you want me to go put the jacket on?
Yeah. Hope you feel better. He does not. Do you think Palat comes back to Tampa or moves on from the dynasty?
I think they'll work on it. Palat hasn't signed anywhere else yet. I think they're still in contact. I'd be very surprised if Palat moves on. Really, really surprised.
Do you think the Pens will trade a defenseman today or make some cap space? Who do you think they will fill out their bottom six forwards with?
Bottom six are almost impossible to predict. There's a lot of bottom six forwards that are going to be available. I would think that for Pittsburgh, if they're going to make a deal, they don't have to do it today. If they're not happy with their blue line, there's lots of time between now and training camp to get it done. The one name that obviously teams would be calling about would be John Marino. I don't think there's an interest in trading John Marino. Maybe we see Matheson end up being the guy who ends up getting moved.
Hey, hockey guy and girl, starting my own jersey collection. Do I need special hangers to protect the shoulders from pointing and bending? Not for jerseys because they're not a knit fabric. You can use just regular hangers. If
I
you
use
have
the velvet
jersey
hangers.
Sweaters, those I wouldn't hang up at all. But jerseys, they don't stretch, so you're fine.
I might have a couple of them hung up, but that's fine.
You should not hang up the sweaters.
It's fine.
If they're actual jersey sweaters, you should not hang them. If it's a knit fabric, like it stretches, you shouldn't hang them.
But yeah, I use the velvet hangers.
This is knit fabric, but it doesn't stretch. I won't good.
The one thing with the velvet hangers is that they do break relatively easily.
Yeah,
it's one problem I've had with it. But I just always have extra hangers on hand.
Which team would need Jeff Petrie the most?
Dallas will be calling. Dallas will absolutely be calling. I don't know if Petrie would be a great pickup for Dallas, but they will be calling.
You should listen to your wife.
With her?
He's a boy. This is how it works.
It just makes me want to hang more sweaters. So,
See what I have to deal with?
Oh, you're fine.
I'd wager Palat is gone since Nemestikov is coming in.
Okay, so Kulak has re-signed in Edmonton. Adam Gaudette's in Toronto.
We should change jerseys every 30 minutes. Like on camera or?
I'm not looking for super chats that way.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm not. Nope. Oh, Anaheim signs Frank Petrano. Good move for Anaheim. My boy Frankie. So Anaheim does it again. They sign a player that I really like. So Frank Petrano's in Anaheim, 3 years at $3.65 million. They're going to get every cent of value out of that contract. I love Frank Petrano. You're welcome, Anaheim. I really like him. He's a good player.
Do I ever yell at Shannon for spending too much on jerseys? Shannon.
That's what she yells at me for.
First off, I don't ever yell at Shannon.
She just did.
Second, Shannon would not spend too much on a jersey. Shannon is very good with money.
Yeah.
That is not something we have ever had trouble with. Shannon is very responsible with money.
Before the channel was the thing, I was broke a lot. There was no disposable income for me.
We've both been very poor.
So I make sure that absolutely every bill that has to be paid is paid first. And that's always the advice I give. You pay your rent, you pay your bills,
Put
and you make
money
sure
in
everything's
savings.
taken care of, and then you have your spending money. So I don't spend money that I don't have. That's absolutely something that, and one thing that I've learned is too that I still think of things like I'm broke because I was broke for so long. So yeah, it's something that I've never really changed my mindset with, and I don't know that I ever do.
And I used to be a financial security advisor, so yeah.
So if I was spending $10,000 on jerseys here and there, I think you'd be hearing. So we have a new host for the channel. I got a nice little doghouse for Shannon. He's out in the backyard now. He's been a bad hockey guy.
We want to see THG rippling muscles. You guys would be jealous if you saw all of that, though. So I don't think the internet can handle that. You guys every once in a while get a glimpse of his legs if he's wearing shorts when he's playing hockey, and that's already a lot because, I mean, his legs are...
Why do you feign that you're fainting, too? That's just weird.
Okay, anyways. Swedish Insider. I don't even know how you say that.
Bjornman.
Is that a Twitter name?
Yeah, Bjornman.
With Burakovsky closing in on Seattle.
That'd be good. That'd be a good pickup for Seattle. Burakovsky's a good young forward. Stanley Cup ring now. A couple Stanley Cup rings, right? With Washington, too. That'd be a good pickup. And they can give him a long-term contract, too. Seattle, with that cap space, they can absolutely improve their team today. All right. There.
Okay.
I didn't even tell you I was picking these up.
What do you think of Minnesota's prospects?
In terms of whether or not they're going to make the playoffs, I think they're going to be in tough this year. We'll see what else they have up their sleeve for the rest of the offseason. See? I got a whole set of mascots for the NHL. Cards. So I'm looking forward to using this at some point. Of course, then I have to say, okay, can they see it doesn't show up. So I'm going to have to do this in videos because I want to use these. These are great. So all 30,
what's for
31
lunch?
mascots.
Wait, I'm supposed to plan out lunch too?
What is for lunch? I really haven't thought about it. I haven't been feeling well for days, so I haven't had a meal since Saturday.
Kids will probably be eating leftovers.
I've just been
teriyaki
snacking.
Chicken last night, so they apparently really
Sharks retained $2.64 million of the cap hit on Burns, so that definitely influences that trade. And I will get into
for lunch. That sounds great. Oh, I was gonna make nachos for dinner because it's not really hot today. So that was the plan like 2 days ago, but it was 30 degrees and I was not going to be cooking with the oven.
Wow. Sergachev, 8 years, $8.5 million per season extension with Tampa Bay. So that's a huge amount of money. He's worth it. Good for him. Kulak gets $2.75 million a year for 4 years. So Sergachev is being paid and he's owned it. Oh, Colin Delia signs with the Canucks.
You're smoking steaks for lunch. That sounds amazing.
That does sound good. We'll be right over.
Listen,
I'll shut this down.
South Carolina, that's just a quick trip.
Yeah, we can do that.
Smoked anything's great. So, yes. Kibbles for lunch. I'm gonna hop and a jump. Yes. Okay. Show us the gritty mascot card, please. Where'd you just set him down?
I just put him down.
Shit, that's not there.
Oh, let me take another look here.
No, they're not.
Here, you hold them. Just face the camera. It's okay. Face the camera. You face
the camera. Sloppy Joes. Oh, I haven't made the kids Sloppy Joes in forever. They would love
Sloppy
that.
Joes.
That's a good idea.
Sloppy Joes.
Help me remember that. I haven't. Why are they? They're kind of sticky on the side.
No, they had tape.
Oh,
they were taped. They have but these ones aren't.
These are
gritty.
Oh, they're hard to see. Sorry, I think part of it's the case is very shiny, but that's gritty.
How do you think? How long do you think it's still Seattle's playoff contender this season, next season, beyond? I'll say not this year, but the following year. That's what I'll say. I'll say next year.
Nemestikov, 1 year, $2.5 million to Tampa.
Vlad Nemesnikov.
What number will Kemper wear in Washington?
He's worn 39. No, didn't he wear? He's worn 39 through most of his career, I think. I would imagine he'd keep the same number. I would imagine.
Teddy Bezos is taking all my money on Prime Day.
I went through the Prime Day deals and I couldn't really find much of anything. But you'll be glad to know, guess what was on sale for dirt cheap on Prime Day?
Markers? Yeah, okay.
Markers.
So I knew it'd be either markers or whiteboards.
Oh, whiteboards were on sale too.
But you thought, I have enough of those. Since I don't need to get a whiteboard.
This is the first time I've used this whiteboard. This is the brand new one I just bought last week.
If you knew how many, there are so many whiteboards. They're everywhere. I could see 2 over there. There's one there. There's one there. One there. There's one over there.
I'm hearing somebody needs
one right here.
Okay, so Saravelli's reporting that the Dallas Stars have re-engaged with Klingberg. Maybe the market was cooler on Klingberg than he thought it would be, and so that might be to Dallas's advantage. 1 year, $1.2 million for Colin White.
Shannon is single-handedly keeping the dry erase marker companies in business.
You know what? It's probably a prime deal just for me. It's probably like anybody else
Shannon
looks and they're like,
bought any markers in like 2 weeks. I don't know if it's even been 2 weeks.
It hasn't been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Hi, Shannon Yvonne. Your opinion on the Red Wings and where they can finish realistically with Kopp and Mata signings, along with Lalonde?
Lalande's head coach.
Oh, okay.
I really think that they can fight their way into 4th place in that division. Now, whether or not that ends up being a wild card spot remains to be seen because the Metro's going to be very competitive. But I do think Detroit can finish as high as 4th. With the amount of upheaval in this offseason, I expect some pretty all over the place predictions for next season. It's going to be interesting.
Hi, Hockey Guy and HockeyGuy.yt. That's a new one. Will the fact that you're sick this morning be an injury risk for any teams looking to sign you?
No, shouldn't be. My conditioning, I've kept it up. I'm pretty good at keeping pucks in deep. I've given 110%. Really, it's all about all the guys in this room here. It's not really about me. So really, it's about the guys in the room. It's about the team, really. I try not to focus on me because there isn't an IN team, right? So just you got to get your pucks in deep. You got to have a short memory out there. And, you just got to go out there and just give her. Just, skate, skate, skate.
You're such a dork. Thanks. Okay, Marsh went to Carolina for your deal, according to LeBron. Not confirmed, but likely.
Marchment is going to end up being a pretty under-the-radar signing. So if Carolina picked him up, that is a really smart move. As the oddity of Carolina and Florida switching guys and trading guys around various forms continues, I do like that move a lot.
No Shannon Beard. Veto.
No. Although the mirror and the lighting in your bathroom's way better for me to shave than in mine.
Because your washroom is weird.
I shave in your washroom, and then I don't worry about all the cleaning because your washroom's magic. It just cleans itself.
By magic,
I don't know if you've noticed.
Clean.
So
I have a girl washroom. Boys aren't supposed to go in there.
Well, there isn't a sign. You haven't put up a sign. So
it says cabin boy on the door.
Right. So technically, it's a dude's washroom.
Is no Goudreau news positive for Isles?
It is weird that they haven't got anything done. Wow, Cirelli gets 8 years, $50 million. Tampa Bay's just backing up back trucks of money to everybody. Thanks for the cups. Yeah, I'm surprised nothing's happened with Goudreau yet, but he shouldn't have to be in a rush. This is his one opportunity. So maybe the few teams are in on it. Maybe Philadelphia is still trying to make up some room. Maybe he'd prefer to go to Philly, giving them a chance to clear up some room so he can go there. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
You just got to keep your head down, work hard, stick to the system. I'll say the same thing, don't they? It's funny. Okay, love you, THG. Backstrom to LTIR frees up 9.2 for caps. Which second line center or winger should we get, provided we have goalie locked up?
What complicates things for Washington is that they expect to get Backstrom back during the season. I think it's optimistic. The surgery that he had, hip resurfacing, normally ends careers. So if he comes back and plays well, that would be the first that I've seen of that with somebody getting their hip resurfaced. And it does mean if he's going to come back, they can't just go out and spend all that money, because then when he comes back, then they're way over the cap and they're in trouble. So it really complicates things. The Backstrom injury really, really, really complicates everything for Washington. They have to be careful of that.
You two are fantastic. Thanks for all the content. You win an analysis of the off season.
Thank you, because my analysis during the season is crap, and I am so glad. I am so glad that I've realized it.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
why this year, when we get to regular season, it's just baking. All of a sudden, it's going to be a baking channel.
Can you imagine?
Did he always make souffles? Yeah, now he's the souffle guy.
I vote no on souffles. So, can you see the Canucks in the playoffs with the team Alvin is building?
I am optimistic for the Canucks this year. They're gonna hurt my feelings, but yeah, I do think they can make the playoffs. I do.
You think the Kings will be cup contenders this season or next?
I don't know about cup contenders, but if you get in the playoffs, you are absolutely in the running. We're now in a league where 16 out of 32 teams make the playoffs, and the Pacific's wide open. So yeah, I think the Kings are in the mix.
Is Comrie a solid answer for Buffalo? Do you see them contending for a playoff spot if their young talent takes a step forward?
I like what Buffalo's done. I think that Comrie had a very good year for Winnipeg this past season. If he can follow that up with another good season this year, I think Buffalo is going to surprise people. I think the Atlantic from top to bottom is pretty good now, and I'm including Montreal in that. I think the Atlantic from top to bottom is pretty good.
You gotta hate to lose.
Yeah, more than you love to win. It's about hating to lose.
Realistic point prediction for Wright and
Beniers
in year one.
I'll say for Beniers, because he's already got the experience. He's got the one extra year of NHL and just pro time, and that little bit that makes a difference. I'll say Beniers can hit 65 points this year. Right, I would expect if he plays a lot, 45-50 points is realistic.
Do the Kraken have any incentive to spend this offseason?
I mean, it would improve their press a little bit locally. We watched the Seattle News the other night, and it was weird to hear them talk about the Kraken.
It was weird.
So I think it would improve the press coverage of them a little bit locally, and I think it would be nice to see the team improve in year two. So if they spend their money wisely, why not spend it?
Thoughts on Blues extending Thomas and Leddy?
Thomas, it's expensive, but it's likely a good move. Leddy at that cap hit for 4 years, it should be fine. He'll be 35 when that expires.
I cover NFL for a living, still learning finer points of hockey. This channel has been so helpful. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. That means a lot.
What would you think of Dylan Strome to Detroit? A good move, so you have Larkin, Kopp, Strome down the middle?
I think that any team that adds Dylan Strome should look to add Ryan as well, because I think if you add both of them, I think that could be good. I think Ryan Strome's underrated. Dylan Strome has to be with the right line mates. So if Yzerman was going to make that move, you have to be sure of who he's playing with.
Realistic point prediction for Wright and Beniers. Or I already read that one.
You read that one. You sure did.
Well,
you did really well.
It's doing the skipping thing again.
Good job, sweetie.
Yo, THG.
What? I'm reading the. I'm looking at the screen.
You are not.
I'm looking at the screen. Can you not see the halo? Okay. All right. She can't see the halo.
Yo, THG. Don't be blowing on my ear either.
Okay.
Detroit has got enough cap for Johnny Hockey. Do you think it'll be something Yzerman would take a risk on?
I mean, if you want to make the ultimate splash as Yzerman, you at least call. He has to at least call him, right? And if you're Johnny Gaudreau looking at Detroit and looking at the fact it's Yzerman, it would be tempting. So if that happened, I would honestly, while feeling bad for Calgary, because been there as a Canuck fan, but that'd be a really fascinating marriage if they could make that work. Really fascinating.
Anthony Chiarelli, 8-year, $50 million extension with Tampa.
Yep, Tampa Bay opened up their vault today and gave Sergachev and Cirelli all their money.
Thoughts on Brian Burke?
Burke is one of the most entertaining people in the history of the National Hockey League. As he gets older, he does more closely resemble a vampire. But I think that, and I can't say for certainty that that's from when he worked with Bettman and became a vampire. That'd be speculative. But Burke is one of the most entertaining, and I think he's a smart guy in hockey terms too. I think he's smart and he's entertaining.
Can you hear
That's what she does. That's what she does.
Will Scheifele be moved?
Not today, and I don't think he goes anywhere in the off season.
Pixel. Thoughts on Barry Melrose?
Melrose had his time as coach. He had the perfect fit there with LA for that time that he was with the Kings. As an analyst, he's interesting. I know ESPN used him a lot this year as an analyst. Agreed with some of what he said, disagreed with other things he said, which is standard with all analysts. I agree with half the things I say and disagree with the other half after a video. I'm like, what the hell was that? So, I think as an analyst, he's fine. I think his time as a coach in the National Hockey League is done.
Edmonton Journal reporting Oilers trading with Sens for Connor Brown. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's been the rumor for days now that Connor Brown was going to end up with Edmonton. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. How are you doing on time?
I'm fine.
Okay. Pixel.
No. What are your opinion on all of the Edmonton moves?
Keeping Kane makes sense for both the player and for the team. Keeping Kulak is a good move as well. I think that Campbell is an upgrade for them in net. I don't know how many games he's going to have to play this year. They don't want to overplay Campbell. I don't think they're done yet in net. Unless Skinner's going to play 30 games this year. It's possible. I think for Edmonton, it's about trying to win a Stanley Cup, trying to show that progression so that you're not worried about losing McDavid when he has an opportunity to go to unrestricted free agency.
Have the Avalanche kept their solid core amongst their free agents, or have they lost most of their power so far?
Losing Kadri hurts. If they're not able to keep Kadri, that hurts. Until he signs somewhere else, it's not official that he's gone. Losing Burakovsky hurts too, but it's Kadri they really need to have back, and if they don't, they're going to have to fix that second line center spot.
What do you think is a good AAV term for Jay Klingberg?
Klingberg, I don't know that I would go above 6 with Klingberg. We'll see what he ends up getting, but I wouldn't go with above 6. Brendan Lemieux's re-signed with the Kings, so he's not going anywhere.
Would constructing another giant chocolate idol of Fleury incentivize him to leave Minnesota?
Well, according to the extension he signed, no. So sadly, no. Chernak, 8 years, $5.2 million extension with Tampa. Tampa signed 3 guys to massive extensions, all of them 8 years today.
8 years just seems ridiculous.
They gave 3 guys 8-year contracts today.
Chernak re-signing with the Lightning for 8 years, $5.2 million. I know, but I'm reading.
Oh, Dakota.
I know. Sometimes there are super chats right after you talk about something.
Dakota Joshua's in Vancouver. I like that. That's a good low risk signing there. Dakota Joshua's a Canuck. There's another one. Oh, good. Oh, get more Pierre.
Skipping around. I'm trying to not miss any, but it's skipping around. Any rumors
Pierre
on Boston?
I haven't seen anything yet. But the day is still young. I mean, they picked up Zaka, so that's one pickup. Obviously, Bergeron they want to re-sign, but he hasn't decided yet.
You think teams with former player as a GM helps during free agency?
It can't hurt. I think the GMs that used to be agents, I think the GMs that were agents, this is where they should sign or should shine, I should say. But we've seen in the past where that doesn't necessarily end up being the case. I remember Mike Gillis in Vancouver. That was part of the reason that it looked like it was going to be great. And in the beginning it was, and then by the end of it, it really wasn't. So it should be to the benefit of a GM to have been in the NHL, but I think it helps to have been an agent as well.
Burns to Canes, nice to see. San Jose shooting cap.
Yeah, and that having both Burns and Carlson didn't work. It just didn't work.
How do you feel about the Canucks pickups?
I like them. I think Dakota Joshua has just been announced as well. I think that's a good pickup for the Canucks. Delia will give Spencer Martin a run for the backup job. Demko, it looks like probably is going to start 60 games. Might even be more than 60 games this year.
Do the Leafs take a step back this season?
They're not betting on it. They went out and get Samsonov. And then, of course, for the bottom six, they get Obey Kubel and they also pick up Gaudette. I don't think they're planning on stepping back at all. I think the expectation is to be as good. I don't see them dropping out of the top three in the division.
Okay. Any rumors on Boston?
Nothing yet.
LA Kings do anything? Trade Iafallo or sign someone?
Nothing from LA yet. They re-signed Edler yesterday. Nothing from them today. So we'll see if that changes. Okay, Grice has signed with the Blues. 1 year, $1.5 million.
Which team could be crazy enough to hire a European coach? Lots of talks in EU about how European coaches would change the NHL.
I hope it happens soon. There are some really good European coaches that I think would do well. It really is a matter of that first successful story of a coach. Ivan Helenka was given the job in Pittsburgh, and it didn't necessarily go great. And since then, things haven't been fantastic. Chicago had Alpo Suhonen was the one in Chicago as well. So those are the two most recent, I do believe. But yeah, there's obviously going to be coaches in Europe that can do it. Coaching hockey, I think there are guys who are not in NHL's orbit who could do just as well as NHL coaches.
Tampa just playing with monopoly money. Currently $6.4 million over cap. They have too many men.
Yeah, just everybody gets 8 years. Blackhawks signed Staylock as well. So Staylock's there.
Okay.
I'll write him down, although I don't know how much he plays in the National Hockey League next year.
Well, I'm just seeing. Okay. I think I got him all.
I think you're caught up.
Okay.
I think you're good.
No, that's crazy. All right. People are just.
Penn signed Tokarski. Tokarski's a good pickup as a third string goaltender. Expect him to get waived though, because Tokarski does require waivers, and they already have Jari and DeSmith. So yeah.
Who do you pick between Malkin and Trocheck for the Pens?
Man, you have to pick Malkin, but if you're looking at the long-term picture, Trocheck. But I understand why they brought Malkin back. I get it.
LA signs Brendan Lemieux 1 year, $1.35 million, according to Friedman.
Yep, and that's where the gamble pays off, and that they didn't give him the qualifying offer, but they still re-signed him, which teams can do.
That's a long time being a member. Look at that. That's crazy.
That is. Thank you for being a member for 19 months.
That's craziness. That's a long time listening to
best European league outside of the KHL. I would say probably the SHL. Personally, it's between the SHL and Liga. Oh, good, Pixel. You came in here instead of howling out there.
Kings re-signing Lemieux either forces Kupari to AHL or is a sign of moving Chad, Velarde, Walker, or Iafallo soon.
There's been rumors that the Canucks might be in on Velarde. And so I've been a fan of Velarde's the whole time. You might as well send him to Vancouver, and then I can sink or swim with Velarde on the team I cheer for. So yeah, I would think that somebody ends up getting moved. But again, it doesn't necessarily happen today.
Okay.
The rabbit food is here. They did drop it off.
Good. Shannon will do recap, right? You're gonna do
I will.
recap.
I will.
Always. Do the 2 goalie signings adequately replace Campbell, or do we spend another year talking about the Leafs goaltending situation?
On some level, you're always going to be talking about the Leafs goaltending situation. That's just the nature of Toronto media. However, that being said, I do think that for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they should be in the mix for top 3 in their division. They're still a good team, and it really is about whether or not they can get over the hump in the playoffs. Murray has 2 cup rings. Samsonov, he had a setback in Washington, but he's got a lot of skill. He's a skilled goaltender, and I think he's better than his numbers in Washington were. I think both goalies in Washington, by the end of those playoffs, you could see that there was an issue there, and maybe moving on is best for them and for the team.
It's 5 years too long for Campbell.
For a goaltender, signing him till they're 35 isn't usually a big deal. That should be okay.
How long do you think we're gonna go with this?
Not much longer.
Okay.
I think we're almost good. We will be doing another live stream soon because we didn't do the one yesterday.
No.
So we will be doing another live stream this week.
Why are you wearing canes, Shannon?
I'm wearing canes because I figured they'd be busy today, and I was wrong. They did add Brent Burns in a trade, and I thought this is a sign something's going to happen with Carolina, and it really hasn't yet. So yeah, we'll see what happens from here.
Does Uwe Kubel dent the cup in Toronto?
I think Leafs fans would be fine with him winging it. If they win it, I don't think they necessarily care. He can throw it up in the air and catch it. They don't think they'd necessarily care.
As random as you can be, but thoughts on Chad LaRose, maybe a THG Hall of Famer?
Good middle 6 guy at his peak. Played for Carolina. Good, decent player. I don't know what the THG Hall of Fame video I did yesterday on Ralston. I meant to put him in the THG Hall of Fame. Didn't during the video, so it doesn't count. So I can't put him in now. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Who are the players that you feel are flying under the radar so far?
For flying under the radar, Eric Comrie to Buffalo. I like that move a lot. I kind of like Rooney to Calgary too. I think Rooney's got some decent play there. I do really like the additions so far. I like Colin White to Florida. There's no risk in that, and he's still young. He could bounce back in Florida. Florida's pretty good at finding value and getting guys who bounce back.
Does Shannon have a Whalers jersey? Of course he does. No. Yeah, he has one. What year did you seriously start following hockey?
1981.
When he was tiny.
5, 6.
He was a very little boy.
I have 6. I have 6 Whalers jerseys.
His mom tells me all sorts of stories about Shannon.
She was telling those during the meetup.
Always,
too.
She's always telling me about what Shannon would do when he was little. And
during the meetup in Chilliwack, my mom was there that we did the video this week, and she was talking about it too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thoughts on Buffalo?
I think Buffalo's going to get better this coming season. I don't expect them to be big players in something like free agency, but I think they're going to get better. I absolutely think they're going to get better.
Shannon doesn't wear kids' jerseys, though he does fit the youth extra large.
I do,
but he doesn't wear them because, well, now they're Fanatics, but they fit differently than the adults, so he does not. I'm sure you think you're being funny, but no, he doesn't. What's your thoughts on the Rangers with Kakko and Nemeth with $3 million left?
Well, I was surprised they didn't buy out Nemeth. There was talk of them buying out Nemeth. They didn't, though.
How are you?
What are you crying about?
She was out there all by herself.
She's fine.
She's just so purry. What about John
Ogrodnik? Yeah, that would work as a THG Hall of Famer, absolutely.
She's like, no, let me go.
Okay. I'm going to watch you, though. You go anywhere near the jerseys, you're out of here.
Big move. Breaking news. Madison Bowie to Habs.
We like Bowie here in Abbotsford. Too bad he's not going to be here anymore.
How about doing a Jason Woolley video?
Woolley was interesting. Kind of, I'm not going to say flash in the pan, but he kind of came and went quickly, it seemed.
That is a pretty itty bitty kitty. She's tiny.
She's a runt. She's a runt. She is very small.
Does Shannon have legs? I've never seen him. He has nice legs.
Meetups. The meetup videos, you can see that
you can see his
legs.
Nice legs.
No, sweetie.
Though usually he's wearing joggers, so you can't see how nice his legs
shorts
are.
in the meetup before that.
That's true. 2 meetups ago. His legs are really nice. Shannon's a runner, so A+.
John Schneider, interim manager for the rest of the season. This rest of the season, how's an interim manager then? It's baseball. It's like 850 games left, isn't there? It's a long time.
If New Jersey signs Johnny, what would be their ceiling? Any news on PK Subban? Get him out of New Jersey. Thanks for what you both do. You both are amazing. Thanks.
For Gaudreau, I would think wherever he goes, he won't get the 115 points he got in Calgary. I would think 90 points are a realistic expectation from him if he was in New Jersey. And Subban, he'll be a third pairing defenseman somewhere. I would think he'll be trying to sign somewhere where he feels like he has a chance to add a cup ring to his resume. Who's messaging you?
It doesn't matter to you. Hey, THG, if Tkachuk signs a short-term deal, should the Flames trade him and start rebuilding?
No, I don't think there's any reason to think that there's a rebuild necessary. The one thing with Calgary is that they're going to need their depth to step up. They need a bounce back from Monahan, really. They need a huge bounce back from Monahan. I don't know if that's there for them. But yeah, the pressure is definitely on now in Calgary now that they've lost Gaudreau. If they lose Tkachuk as well, they're in serious trouble.
Okay. Oh.
Darcy Kemper is confirmed now, which we kind of knew this morning anyways.
Stars want top 6 forward. Could they pull off Gaudreau?
That's too much money. They're going to already have a hard time fitting Robertson and Ottinger under the cap. If you add Gaudreau, you're going to lose somebody major.
Any speculation why no Jets action?
I don't know that the Jets need to do a lot. I don't think the Jets are that far off. I don't think there's a lot they need to do. They didn't lose a ton to free agency anyways, so there may just not be a lot of slots there, and maybe they'll be active later. So Darcy Kemper gets 5 years, $26.25 million in total. So a little over $5 million is the cap hit for the Capitals. That's not bad. I think that's good.
I can't imagine any free agent joining the Islanders.
Well, I mean, if you're hardworking and if you're a blue collar player who likes to be clean shaven, then you go work for Lou Lamoriello. He doesn't let guys grow facial hair.
That's
You're not allowed to have facial hair if you play for him.
That's bizarre.
Makes you shave it.
That's really bizarre. Shannon will be doing a video after this summarizing this. So
Absolutely.
He'll go more into all of the signings.
Absolutely.
So.
We'll get into the signings. I may go through division by division.
Don't you worry. Who's on the way out in Vancouver? Garland, Pearson.
Pearson's been rumored because Rutherford traded him before. There's rumors that Rutherford may not be a huge fan of Pearson and that contract. So he's the most likely to go, but I don't know that Garland starts the season with the Canucks either.
What about Nashville? What do they need?
Nashville, I don't think needs that much either. I think depth moves would be fine for them. I think that keeping Forsberg was the main thing, and as long as they kept Forsberg, I think they're happy.
What about Nashville? Or I just read that, didn't I?
Did.
Penguins signed Dustin Tokarski?
That's what I've heard. I'll be filling up the board pretty good, especially once with when the live stream has reached its logical conclusion point. See, as long as she's playing over there, it's fine. It's when she runs towards the jerseys, I've got to grab her and get her out.
Yes.
The little kitten is very cute, but she likes to climb and just jump up on top of things. and then she'll just hang on.
She is the most playful kitten
So
ever.
with jerseys, that's a bad idea. Kitten has to go. So I love the kitten, but she can't be in here. And her sister is, we have 4 cats in here. I'm surprised Maple's not crying right now.
It's true. She's probably asleep then. Maple wakes up and cries if she's by herself.
Like Bear.
Yes. Thoughts on Hala trade?
I like the trade for both teams. For Boston, they're moving on from a player that's probably not part of their long-term plans. Anyways, New Jersey, it was known that Zacha just wasn't working out there, so I think it's a good trade for both teams. Good hockey trade. We don't see those very often.
With Thomas getting 8-8, what do the Blues do about Vladdy and Perron?
I would think that they're probably trying to work the phones to see who might be interested in Tarasenko's services so they can re-sign Perron. Perron may very well just end up staying in St. Louis.
Heard rumblings of Blue Jackets and Burakovsky, him and Laine.
It'd be an interesting move. I know that Winnipeg tried to entice Laine to stick around by bringing back Stastny. Ultimately, it didn't end up working out that well for them in terms of keeping Laine. So, I mean, you could maybe entice them to sign a contract if you bring somebody else in. But Laine is a pretty tough cookie to crack. So we'll see what happens there. If Burakovsky gets brought in, he's a good player.
Greetings from Finn in Sweden. What can we expect from the Wild?
They're in cap hell. So while they're in cap hell this year, their hands are kind of tied. We might be in a situation where it's next summer that Guerin really tries to fix everything. This year's about trying to keep everything cheap because he can't really afford to go out and do the kinds of things that he otherwise would.
Please convince me the Mikheyev deal isn't awful.
Mikheyev had 21 goals. I think it was 52 games he played in Toronto. If he can score 25 goals a year in Vancouver, if he finds the right line mates, if they put him on a line somehow with Podkolzin, it could end up being a very good deal. Mikheyev could be a very good line mate for Podkolzin. Podkolzin, there was definitely a bit of a language barrier there and a cultural barrier. Could be a good move. Could be a very good move.
With Burns gone and some added cap space, do you see the Sharks making any moves to address the lack of scoring?
I think Greer would like to. The problem Greer might be facing is the free agent market might not view San Jose as being a good location if they want to be in contention for the Stanley Cup. So that's the problem. They might be one of those teams then that St. Louis calls to see if they're interested in Tarasenko.
That's a cat playing with a toy.
Yeah, she's an interesting little kitty.
She likes those toys with the ball,
the track ball
in circles.
The track ball goes in circles.
Actually, no, she likes all cat toys. All the cat toys or things that she
paper
can
bags.
Smack.
She got a paper bag stuck around her neck the other night and ran around with it.
Pom-poms. She loves pom-poms. And since we have a little girl, we have pom-poms, pipe cleaners, zip ties,
string,
anything,
shirts,
toes,
stuffed animals, rugs.
Thoughts on re-signing
Cirelli, Chernak, and Sergachev.
There you go.
That's a lot of money. Tampa Bay is paying these guys out. And one thing I'll say is that they're not leaving any room for error, and they're not leaving room for offer sheets. So it's fine. It'll be interesting to see how they keep everything under the cap, or they continue to troll all the hockey fans.
Nabokov career video, possibly.
I could do one on Nabokov. I could.
Skip again, or nope? Okay.
Not that I see.
No.
I think you're getting good. I think you're doing better. I'll make sure that you get a 10% extra top up.
Ooh.
Okay, now it's Goody. 6.
6. Woo.
Now it's 4. Keep it up.
I wouldn't.
I'm trying to be fair, but
Shannon,
to be fair,
you are the best. What are your thoughts on the Kraken and Golden Knights' future direction 3 to 5 years from now?
The Golden Knights are going to end up in a rebuild at some point. There's a lot of veteran players there. Eventually end up in a rebuild. I think that for Seattle, the slow build eventually leads to at least a playoff spot. You'd have to think 5 years from now, Seattle might be the better team than Vegas. Although Vegas is going to be dragged kicking and screaming towards any kind of rebuild.
What forward depth do the Oilers need?
If they're not planning on keeping Puljujarvi, they're going to need a scoring winger to replace him, which is fine because Puljujarvi wasn't scoring enough. Bringing back Kane is huge, but they need another scoring winger.
Really pleased with Kemper. Still a bit worried about the backup situation, though.
There's time. There's still names that are out there. There's still goaltenders that haven't been signed yet. It will be interesting to see what the Capitals do with their backup job.
Thoughts on Domi and Athanasio to Chicago?
Chicago's picking up basically what amounts to bodies. It's 1-year deals. These might be guys that they're looking at going, we could deal them at the deadline if we need to. Chicago needs to have a roster they can throw out there, but they're definitely rebuilding. They're definitely burning it to the ground.
Will Jake Gardiner play this season for Carolina? Thank you.
It has been announced that he is able to play. He has been cleared to play, so he should be playing this year for Carolina.
Thoughts on Koulibaly to Chelsea for 40?
Well, I mean, Chelsea's won league titles before. I trust Chelsea. But that being said, I am a Liverpool fan, so you got to take that with a grain of salt on that one. I don't like to doubt Chelsea though.
Career video on Dan Blackburn would be mint.
And it wouldn't be that long either. Blackburn ended up being a first rounder that just never quite clicked for him. Goaltenders, it can be tricky that way. It's why teams often don't want to take them in the first round. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm watching her.
You're going to TSN?
No, trade news. Yvonne to TSN for future consideration.
Oh. Well, I'll miss her, but it's the right move for her. Really, this is a team, and if she decides she needs to move on, that's okay. As a team, we'll figure it out. I wish her the best with TSN. I hope she enjoys living in Toronto.
That's Toronto.
Right.
Okay, as an Avs diehard, I felt the Blues were the best team we played in the playoffs and would have likely beat us if Bennington didn't get injured. Thoughts?
When Bennington was playing very well, but Colorado was still outplaying them. So I still think Colorado wins that series. Colorado outplayed them through majority of that series. They got nervous in game 5. They got nervous and kind of blew that one. But they were the better team. They were absolutely the better team. I never really had any doubt in that series about whether or not they'd win it.
She's playing with the rabbit's hay now.
Yeah, well, it's something. Like she play with everything. Everything is a toy. All of it.
Is there any hope for this year as a Ducks fan?
As a Ducks fan in general, I think they're rebuilt. They're in the midst of the rebuild. I think they're through the worst of it. They're going to get better. I really think that for Anaheim, I think this year 90 points is possible. They should stay in the hunt for a playoff spot. I don't think they necessarily make it, but they'll be better.
Can you buy our house? Well, it's not our house. We rent. So I don't know how anybody can afford to buy a house right now.
Not in this market.
I don't know how anybody would buy a house right now, but do the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs win the
no-show? Yeah, I think that's what they're building to in season 2, that they're going to win the no-show.
Cedar and Mata on a line. Detroit's D is looking beefy.
They're going to have a better team next year. I think they're going to be contending for a playoff spot. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yes, Shannon is on TikTok.
Of course I'm on TikTok. Why wouldn't it be on TikTok?
Of course. I'm not on TikTok. I'm too old for that.
She just makes sure that her face doesn't show. So
Shannon.
There are TikTokers that do that.
Don't listen to him. I am not on TikTok.
She's not on TikTok. You could totally do TikTok videos with your sewing stuff.
No.
You could do quick little here's how you sew this, and here's how you knit this, and here's how you crochet your double stitch over this, and here's how that works. I know, baby kid.
Any possibility of Kane Panarin reunion this season?
Kane Panarin.
BB.
I think the Rangers would love to add Patrick Kane. I think that with what's going on in Chicago, he probably would be okay with a change.
Playing.
But yeah, we'll see what they do. I have to put her
playing.
down. That's why I'm putting her out here.
Does Boston miss the playoffs this year?
They have a good chance of missing the playoffs.
My Caps just got my favorite goalie, Kemper. Pinch me.
Yeah, Kemper's going to be good for them, I think. I think that's a good pickup for them.
Azrael is adorable. Agreed.
She's a sweet little cat. She's trouble.
She is definitely trouble.
As soon as she's walking this way, I'm like, you're going towards the jersey, so you're going right back out in the hallway. So I'm sorry. That's the rule now. If Maple's sleeping, I'll bring her in and put her on the tree, and then she just passes right back out, but not Azrael. I bring her in here and I put her on the tree. She's like, hey, there's so much to destroy. So, yeah, no.
Look at all the things I need to kill.
I can kill all of it.
Sens trade for a top 4 defense. Are they a playoff team?
For the Sens, if Jake Sanderson's the real deal this year, I think they can get in the playoffs. I think they've got a good team from top to bottom now. The defense is the one shaky area. But if Sanderson ends up being as good as the hype says he is, I think they're going to surprise some people.
What is Azrael the cat?
Yeah, Azrael the cat. And she's a girl, but that's all right. It's Azrael's not a gender-specific name. And it was a name that I threw out there, and we were like, yeah, that works.
Why have a board if you're going to stand in front of it? So people can complain about it.
Ta-da.
It makes it more fun.
Because if I stand away from it, then you have the light reflection, and then there's I can't read that because I'm on my phone. So it's also because then I'm using this to track what happens as it happens. So it's always the board. The board stuff's always kind of funny.
How much help does Braden Super Team Point need?
How much help? Braden Point is one of the most. I don't know if he's underrated, but he is a dynamic forward that if he played somewhere else, he would probably be like the key go-to guy. I love Point. If Point's healthy during that Stanley Cup final, maybe it ends up going differently. But that's where if you're an Avs fan, you can say, hey, if we'd had Gerard, right. So, yeah, Point's fantastic.
As a lefty, how does Shannon not make smudges on the whiteboard? Because he's been left-handed his entire life.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
So
I write in a way where my hand doesn't actually get anywhere near the whiteboard, which is good because then I don't get the ink on the outside of my hand. Because I used to get that ink down the hand, and I hated that. So I learned how to write without my hand actually touching the board because I hated that line of black ink on my hand.
There you go.
So Colorado is still in the mix for Kadri. There may not be a decision made today on Kadri, and we haven't seen one yet on Goudreau either. So what I like about this free agent market is teams and players aren't rushing to make a decision right away because they understand we only get one shot at doing this. We got to do it right. So I love that.
Other people commenting that they are left-handed as well, and so is my mom. So
yeah, and it's like when being short, I would reach something at work and it's like, how did you reach that? I've been short my whole life. I didn't just wake up today. I just wake up today and go, I'm 5 inches shorter. Skills. What happened? I could reach that.
I know how to hop onto a counter.
I know how to reach up and grab things that look like they're out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're short, just as a work recommendation, don't go to work and try to be a smart ass and go, I can do that job that all the tall guys can. Because when you prove that you can do it, they're going to expect you to keep doing it. There are 2 different jobs where I proved I could do a job that the tall guys were technically supposed to do. And then I was stuck doing it. So I was like, I sure showed them.
Does he answer non-super chats? Yes.
I absolutely do.
Shannon writes in uppercase like most people do on whiteboards and chalkboards because it's easier to read.
Yeah. And when I worked
most teachers write in uppercase as well.
When I worked at a call center, I did a lot of training stuff on whiteboards too. So I would always write in uppercase. I got tired of people asking, what letter's that? So okay, just block writing. It's just easier.
thoughts on Mikheyev to Canucks? Love the channel.
I'm not a huge fan of the cap hit, but I think the term's okay, and I understand what the Canucks are doing.
Who's crying now?
That's going to be...
That's Azrael.
Yeah, that's Azrael. She's upset because I put her out. I got Nick Bukestad.
How did you do that? Totally normal thing. Yeah, people are surprised when you're able to do things because you're shaped differently than they are.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh yeah, go right to Karski down.
What should the Islanders do?
The thing is, if you listen to Lou Lamoriello after the season, Lou Lamoriello still believes in the team he's got put together. I think adding Romanov, he felt was a huge move on his part. I don't think there's a lot left he's going to do. I think Lou's largely happy with the team. I think he just wanted to make a change behind the bench.
I don't like comments that are all caps. So
comments that are all caps are not
generally
good.
Don't read them.
The Caps don't have their backup yet. I think they pick them up soon, though.
Yeah, not all caps in the chat.
No, all caps aren't fun.
Obnoxious, because then that means you're yelling. So I don't.
Manson.
I did the tons of emojis.
I did see that Manson re-signed. I did see Manson re-sign with the Avs.
Thoughts on Sergachev, Cirelli, and Chernak 8-year deals.
It does show that winning 2 Stanley Cups absolutely increases the value for players, and I think it makes it so you're more likely to get an 8-year contract as well. I don't know if Chernak had played his entire career in Arizona or San Jose or somewhere else like that. I don't know that he'd be getting an 8-year deal, but Tampa Bay wants to keep that team together. And yeah, we'll see how everything goes for them. It's going to be interesting.
How tall are you? I hear you say you're short all the time, but you seem average in street hockey.
Well, see,
did you know that Canadians on average are much shorter than Americans by a couple inches?
Because we don't have to be
Shannon's
taller.
not much shorter than most of the guys that meet up.
See,
we do have a couple of
is,
really tall guys, but
a lot of Canadians are lumberjacks. Now, if you really want to get that axe and really get in at the base of the tree, it's good to be shorter. The tall guys, tall guys couldn't get out of the way when the tree was falling over, as well as the short guys. Because you kind of move and you got that lower center of gravity. So the tall guys got crushed by trees while we were setting up Canadian society. So I hope somebody's just tuning in now. So Canadian society was built up of shorter gentlemen in particular because of lumberjacks. America didn't have as many trees. That may had to be all burly for all the fighting with the British. We hung out with the British, so we didn't feel the need to be taller either.
Blues to do something big, Goudreau.
I mean, to do something big, they signed Thomas Greiss and they gave Robert Thomas all their money. So it's a lot of money. Dennis Gilbert signs a 2-year contract with the Flames.
It also makes it easier to crawl into our igloos.
Right. But it's just if you have that lower center of gravity, you can really chop that tree at a lower base, and then you can get out of the way when it starts falling over. The tall guys have a harder time. They're all awkward. They're all gangly and all arms and legs.
Where I stand at a towering 5.6. It's a bit taller than me, so. But not when we're at meetups, people don't ever. Hey, Shannon, you're really short, because he is about the same height as most of the guys at meetups.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Here, it is interesting in the States, though. People are taller. They really are. Are we about done?
Yeah, because there's stuff that you got to get done. You can hear the boys upstairs. There are things need to get done in the house today. And yeah, should the Ottawa Senators offer sheet Matthew Tkachuk? No. If they could work out a trade, great, but offer sheet would not work for Tkachuk. I don't know that they'd want to sacrifice the picks they need. Mason Marchment's off to Dallas. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's awesome. Aren't you excited? Mason Marchment's off to Dallas. Don't fake it, woman. You know I can tell when you're faking it, right?
I'm so excited about that.
You know I can tell when you're faking it.
That's super duper exciting.
Mason Marchment is off to Dallas. And I am happy about it because I love Mason Marchment's game. That is a perfect fit, in my opinion. We'll see whether or not it works out. We'll see how much the cap hit is. But good for Dallas.
Did Shannon ever have a mullet?
Yes.
Of course
I grew up in the 80s.
Because I was just going to say, do you know how old he is?
You have to
Of
have had
course
one.
he had a mullet.
And I wouldn't have had one except my dad said something at the table once about my hair was getting kind of long. I looked like a girl. And I'm like, all right, now I'm keeping it because my dad's offended. Then all
and
right,
I had the bangs.
You had to.
I did, yeah.
You had to tease them up. Did you use mousse or just hairspray?
No, hairspray.
How much of the ozone layer do you think you took out?
I didn't do as much of the hairspray as like most girls. I didn't do
we really annihilated the ozone layer in the
spray.
80s.
Remember that? Where the girls would hold the hair out like this and then spray it? So I'd do the wing. I didn't ever do that. I only did the bangs and I'd do like the...
It's sexy.
No.
Thoughts on the Hurricanes and Brent Burns trade? I will get into that trade once we're done with the live stream, but I will say this. Carolina made a move they needed to make. San Jose made a move they needed to make. It worked for both teams, and I always like a trade that works that way. It'll be interesting to see Burns on another team and see if he gets back to being the Brent Burns that we had expected.
I permed my mullet because I didn't think it was curly enough.
I wish I could say I never permed my hair, but I absolutely did.
No dyeing or bleaching of any kind either.
Oh, I bleached my hair. I absolutely did bleach my hair.
And don't worry, you guys will never see photos.
I made sure those are gone. I made sure those are gone. Unless you graduated with me, in which case, zip it. That yearbook should be destroyed. So, there's that.
See it in my yearbook? I look like me, just with shorter.
My yearbook, I had blonde, curly hair, and it was the goofiest looking because I fried it. So,
were you guys both goth?
I was never goth. I had the ripped jeans, I had the Def Leppard t-shirts, I had the jean jacket, and I had the mullet. I had the mullet.
So, I totally did do goth. Yep. Absolutely.
Do I think Vegas is waiting to see where players go before trading? Probably. I mean, it's the best move, right? You wait till the market cools down and then you make that move. Lindgren to Caps. Oh, well, that makes sense since they're they brought in Grice. I guess they didn't trust Charlie Lindgren. Oh, that'll be a trade.
Shannon was definitely not a skid.
No. Mm-mm. My jeans were ripped naturally. I didn't buy them ripped. I ripped the knee out and I was like, that looks cool. So my mom was going to throw them out. And I'm like, don't you dare. That looks cool.
Oh my goodness. There's other people talking about the horrible hair they had in the 80s too. We all did.
80s was great.
80s was
great.
A time
I'm starting to see that again
perms
though.
And
I'm starting to see looks.
Starting to see
hairspray. Some of the looks the youngins are picking. They're going to regret them later.
Lot of hairspray.
So, anyways, guys, we should probably get this wrapped up because Yvonne's got other stuff to do.
My kids are pretty sure hairspray is just for artwork.
What would I do with John Gibson if I was the Ducks GM? I would try to keep him. Gibson has been fantastic for them. Really, really fantastic for them. I would not want to move on from John Gibson unless I had to.
I think that's all of them. I think we got all of them.
So, do we get everything?
I think so.
All right, guys. Use my power to get NHL games back on the PC. I wish. Johnny Gaudreau to Islanders would be great too. And if that happens, I'll be here to talk about it when it happens. And we will do another live stream this week as well to make up for the fact we didn't do it yesterday. So thank you guys. And if you're a patron or a member, we have the live stream tomorrow. So don't forget that. But thanks guys for coming out. And we will do this again soon. Thanks for your help. All right. Thank you guys for your help. This was a great free agency so far. A little slower than normal, but yeah, it's understandable. Again, teams and players are taking their time, and I think that's good for them. And I think it's going to make for some interesting decisions. Thanks for coming out. We'll do this again soon.